All right, I think we did it. It
All
says
right.
we're live.
Awesome.
All right, cool. So,
Howdy, howdy.
Hello,
how's
hello,
everybody
hello.
doing? We got Nick here. He's awake, so we're happy about that.
I
Yeah,
might
so
fall asleep halfway through stream, but
well, it's not a good look for our non-existent audience if one of the panelists falls asleep during the stream. So if you can manage to stay awake for the amount of time that we're
right.
streaming
I've
here,
got
that would be
coffee
wonderful.
and I've got chocolate digestives to keep me going. I've got
Okay.
cookies.
Yeah. Good.
So yeah.
Sounds healthy.
So how was
Cool.
everybody's week?
Okay, a lot of boba
Yeah.
talk.
Yes, a lot,
That's been
which
the
is
main
okay.
thing.
Yes,
Many streams, many hours.
many streams,
Boba
many
Talk.
hours. Yeah.
I went and saw Licorice Pizza yesterday.
Yes.
And I don't know how to feel about the film
Okay.
because
Did you
it's
feel uneven about it, like my neighbor did?
Yeah, watching a 25-year-old woman date a 15-year-old boy.
Well, but they didn't go. It was more of like a friendship, and
it's love.
they didn't really.
I don't. Yeah, but
It
it's
was
still
love, but
weird.
it's still. I know, dude. It's a little weird, but the
Yeah.
story is. I like the story. It was interesting. I don't know. I like Paul Thomas Anderson's.
I like.
Vision
Yeah, I mean, There Will Be
usually,
Blood
so, yeah.
is such a great film, and
Yes, it
The
is.
Masters is fantastic. But yeah, I just felt very like I would give it a 9 out of 10, but because of that part of the story,
It's a little weird, but they don't go really too far with it, so that's good. It's more just language, and
But if you swap those roles around, would the film be made? That's the question.
You know what? I don't know. That's a good question. It's supposed to be about his life, right? Paul Thomas Anderson's life, to an extent. I think it is. I think he's supposed to be the kid, right?
Yeah. He's supposed to be the 15-year-old
so
that fell in love with 25.
It's something. It happens.
Yeah, but it's a very weird thing to be made.
Yeah, I one thing I was like, did he actually finish? Did he finish? I guess he was still going to school. I don't think he ever dropped out.
In the film, I think he dropped out.
Did he?
Film. Yeah,
it seemed like he did, but I think he was still going to school, or maybe it was summer. I don't know, man. Some things were a little weird about that movie.
Yeah.
It was filmed around my area, though, Nick. Those areas are.
You're from that side of town where.
Yep.
Yep. But yeah, it was a very. I had a woman crying after the film finished, and I'm like,
"Wow, really? That's crazy, dude." That's nuts. I'm surprised.
Yeah, I was like, "Oh my god."
I saw The Nightmare Alley yesterday, and for a long time I was the only ticket holder, and then there was a couple. I was sitting in the back row, and there was a couple to the right, and they were quiet to begin with, and then I think the guy in the couple, he started snoring very loudly about 30 minutes into the movie, and I knew it was obviously it was them, right? And so either she woke him up or he finally woke up, and they were like, "Well, let's just leave." So for 2 hours of the 2.5 hours I was there, I was the only one in the movie theater watching the movie. So
wow. Yeah, I've only had that experience once, but I had the whole cinema from start to finish, but on my own. That was for nobody, and that was a great experience.
And hello, Average and Strike. So
yes, our two most faithful viewers.
We're I need to get this. Yeah, next time I host or whatever, I'll make sure to get.
So, Cash, if you take your top off, does that mean we'll get more viewers come in?
No, I don't, dude. We could use a lot of this stream.
No twerking.
Make fun of X-Wing, but let the man embarrass himself some more. He will. That's his thing. He embarrasses himself a lot. So.
Yes.
Well, it's not like it's preserved forever on the internet or anything.
No,
happens and goes away.
Not when it isn't dedicated to him as well.
If it isn't, Fat Stevens will make sure that's preserved forever. So,
like a bantha,
Yep.
But
yeah, I was actually watching the original Nightmare Alley. It was on. And they decided to go in a bit of a different direction with that movie, which I found interesting. So, have you watched Nightmare Alley yet, Nick?
That doesn't come out until the 22nd.
Oh, okay. Well, then I won't spoil anything for you. But there was an original film made in like 1947 that was shown yesterday on TCM, and they changed some things from the original, which is good because. So I guess in some ways it was still a remake, but the film was a little bit longer after, like, the way it ended, Matt. It went a little longer in the 1947 one. It didn't just end the way, with basically karma. I'm not, like I said, I don't want to spoil anything for
Well,
Nick.
I mean, again, for me,
Yeah.
I really didn't expect anything about the last 30 to 40 minutes of the movie. And then when it did end the way it did, I was like, okay, I could see that coming.
Yeah.
It's like, and I don't know if we think it's a good thing necessarily. If I can figure the movie out, oftentimes I say it's probably not a good thing.
I mean,
but
I figured
we're having
out
that discussion now
whole...
with Book of Boba, aren't we? Like, in the sense of, like, we understand where the plot is starting to head to. Is that a good thing? That we, like, as we know, the main plot is going this, and this.
Right.
Is that good for a film or a TV series, or do you want those surprises and still be led on this mystery journey?
Yeah.
Throughout the film.
Yeah, I don't know. I like the mystery, and but the problem is you go back to a movie like Gangster Squad where they decided, oh, we're going to spoon feed you so many different things in this film, and you're just like, why? This is not good. So it made a mess of the film, and then there was some horrible CGI. I don't highly recommend Gangster Squad. I saw it many years ago in the theater. It could have been a lot better. It had a really good cast, but the movie was just all over the place. Not so.
Yeah,
good.
like I said, and as far as Nightmare Alley goes, right, for the vast majority of the movie, I had no idea where it was going to end up. Right, I mean, the premise was set, and where the main character and the sidekick go, and what they start doing, I kind of got that. But then at the very the third act, right, when they were doing what they were doing, I had no idea how all that was going to work out. And then when it ended, I'm like, okay, given what happened now in the ending, I was not so surprised about it. But I would still rate it as a good movie.
Yes.
Right. I didn't think it was a waste of time. It kept my interest.
Yes.
I mean, I'm excited to go and see it on the 22nd because it's the only thing coming out in January for me that I'm like, okay, I'll go and see it.
Nothing's going to
being pushed back.
Right, and nothing is going to touch Spider-Man, and it's just nothing. I mean, all these films are going to continue to bomb. Some of them are going to bomb.
The only thing that could touch Spider-Man at the moment is the Batman, but I don't think the Batman's going to do as well.
I don't think it's going to do as well, but I think it can still make good money. Yes.
You mean the cat? You mean the Catwoman?
The Catwoman,
yeah, the Bat and the Cat.
I will say this: in the latest trailer that I saw, they actually showed Catwoman and Batman working together, so maybe that's a good sign. But they did actually were actually working together.
Well, Kate Bishop and Hawkeye work together well too, so I'm sure it could work. I'm sure it could. I'm sure it could
I think
work
the
out.
difference between Hawkeye and Kate Bishop with Batwoman, Batman and Catwoman, is that in the trailer you can see that Batman's still he's not stopping pulling, like he's not pulling his punches. He's actually going in and being ruthless, and even like he slams Catwoman on the table. So it's not like they're holding back with Batman. Right. And also, I love like Catwoman's lines when she like says like, "Oh, like when he says like, oh, you're a fan of cats." He goes, "Yeah, I'm a big fan of strays." And it's just, their banter works very well, but they're not like holding Batman back to make Catwoman the more prevalent one.
Right.
No, at least not in the trailers.
Not in the trailers.
What they do in the movie remains to be seen. Because it's not like them to bait and switch, right? I mean, that never happens.
No, that never happens. No.
What we see in the trailer is always very representative of the great way the movies are, right? Last Jedi. I mean, all of that, it works out so well all the time.
But I mean, like Catwoman in Dark Knight Rises helps Batman, like even saves Batman's life from Bane before he blows his head off. So they probably play that type of dynamic, which is fine by me.
It works
like
because they were still helping each other in the Dark Knight Rises.
Yeah, I think they'll play that.
That's what's always important for these movies.
Well, I mean, hopefully it does well, right? Before all the other main DC characters are replaced by their female equivalents, right? And what's coming up with the rest of the franchise.
I don't know. Like, people are not 100% sure about those leaks that Grace Randolph talked about.
I love how she put like, "Oh, just take this as a grain of salt," and I'm like, how can you put that as a grain of salt? You just turn around to people and said that Batman and Superman won't exist anymore, and it'd be replaced with a female counterpart.
We need to rally around it and get excited.
Yes,
Nick. She wants us to be excited.
Yeah, but then another article we can look at later: the sale of the CW. What killed the CW? Oh yeah, it was Supergirl.
Well, a lot of things did. I mean, you watch one of those CW shows, and a lot of them changed. But
I used to watch them.
Batwoman. I tried one season. My brother and I watched that. We couldn't only take one season. Supergirl is one of those things where it's like, well, finish it, just never watch it again. Just be done with it. They went in some bad directions, but DC and Pennyworth was a quality show, and they did some things that were just weird at the end, and you're just like, we'll see where this goes. Pennyworth was very good.
I like Gotham.
Issues too.
One of these weird people that likes Gotham.
I liked Gotham, and then back in the day when things were much different, I had a lot of Gotham on a DVR, right? And we had gone on a long vacation, and something happened in my DVR toast. And so I lost like a whole season of Gotham, and I just said, forget about it. I never went back to finish it, and it went many more seasons after that. And I was like, it's too much work to go. Even now, it's like it's too much work to go back and recover the season. Forget it.
It is. It's too much work, and it's just they were moving it at the time when I was actually watching it when it was actually on Fox. And then they moved it a few times, and I'm like, I'm done with this. Like, this is just, it's annoying. So you guys want to move this show. And so they did the same thing with Agent Carter too. They moved it, and it just hurts these shows. They don't think about the ramifications of what's going to happen.
Well, but you have to understand, they don't move shows that are doing well.
No,
like they don't often change time slots of shows that are doing well, and they certainly don't shift them from one network to another. So it's like a last ditch effort to save these things, and by then it's like,
But they move this, and then the ratings go down even lower. I mean, there's exceptions to that, like
the same as
Hawaii 5-0 reboot. That did well on Fridays. That's usually the death night, but that did well on Fridays. Because there was still that built-in fan base that wanted to watch it. But Agent Carter was a really good show, and I'll defend it forever. Those
ABC MCU shows, right? They get such a bad rap, but whether it's Agent Carter or whether it's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., right? And while they were
seasons though, so
while they were airing
longer,
Well, the interesting thing for me for those is while they were airing and there was nothing else like that airing, people love those shows,
yes.
Right? And then the littlest bit of competition came along or whatever, and now, of course, we're in a completely different place, and everyone's like, those shows were shit, and I'm like, I never thought it was shit when it was airing. I don't get that.
It wasn't.
I think the thing that doesn't help with the ABC shows was Netflix shows with Daredevil, Jessica Jones, and that, because they've done a R-rated superhero show, and that's what people really want. If you look at the fan base, is just they want that brutal violence and great action, and that's what those shows gave. And they were running at the same time as Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.
Eventually,
they were around about the same period, and people were like, "Oh my god, this is the template that we want. We don't want these ABC shows where it's like all cutter, clean, tidy, very much soap opera type shows."
So do you think if Netflix had bought Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and they shifted it over to Netflix, that people would have had an ongoing different perspective of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.?
Yeah, I think so. I really do. I think the issue with network TV is that it has limitations, and with adverts and certain quality of the shows, not many people. I think HBO gets a better rap because it's got that cinematic quality to their shows. So that's why people are more accepting to them. But when it comes to like your normal standard network TV shows, people a bit, You know, if it's not got a great storyline, then there's no visuals to hold me in. There's nothing cool to look at. Wouldn't stick around.
Yeah, it's interesting to me because I also think there's a certain part of it that's dependent on what non-network streaming service they end up on, right? Because for me, The Expanse is a great example of a show that had a very successful run on, I don't know if it was, I guess it was on Sci-Fi, right? But it was running on non-streaming, and then they moved it over to Prime. And I wouldn't say it's bad since it moved over to Prime, but they went into the deep end, right, with the cursing and just some of the other things that to me weren't really necessary to enhance the production value of the show. They did those things just because they could do them now that the show was streaming. And for me, when and they did the same thing with Designated Survivor, by the way. Who wants to see Kiefer Sutherland on the toilet saying the F word? Right? It's not necessary, right?
All your Cowboy Bebop fans want to watch that.
But you know what I mean? They do, sometimes they do these things for the shock value, right? And because they can, and I look at them and I'm like, number one, it isn't consistent with the character that's been built up to this point. Number two, it doesn't enhance the story.
No, I get you. Like, I mean, certain visuals and like that, when they start putting profanity or making it R-rated because just for the sake they can make it R-rated, it's not going to work all the time. Like that, you've got a format of the show. Don't just change it because you're able to do these things. Maybe you could use them in certain aspects to maybe enhance the show, but don't try and rely on those types of things to think, oh, that's going to make the show better. Yeah. I mean, like, okay, with the example with the Netflix shows, the only show that really people talk about is Daredevil and maybe just the first season of Jessica Jones. The rest of them are not that great in a lot of people's eyes. Even the Defenders, people can't stand that show. So it's just getting that right balance. You don't have to like change to a R rating just to go, oh, we can do this now, and it will make the show better. It's like when people talk about Star Wars should be R rated. I'm like, no, Star Wars has a formula that doesn't need to be R rated to enhance it.
No,
I mean, it'd be cool, but just it's not a franchise that needs it.
Well, I mean, if Star Wars were R-rated, then I mean, we could actually see, Boba having sex with the Tusken. That would probably be, that would complete that. That would complete that storyline. So should be okay, right?
Probably have sex with Fennec, won't he?
Doesn't seem that way.
No, true. I mean, if we had R-rated Star Wars back when the sequel trilogy was around, we probably would have got Kylo and Rey having sex in the final act before he died.
All kidding aside, right? I think people often equate R-rated, right, with stepping the realism behind the violence up a notch, right, and making that more realistic. And at least for me, Star Wars being a prime example of the franchise, do we need that?
Nope.
Right? Do I really need to see when the blaster bolt goes through the rebel or the stormtrooper or whatever? Do I need to see it go, the head exploding and blood flying out and the lightsaber cutting, slicing someone down and guts oozing out and all that? I mean, to me that doesn't enhance the production value of the show.
No.
So I often wonder, right, what's really behind that desire, right? Because I think people believe that makes it more gritty. And I think we should agree it's the story that makes it gritty or not, right? How they portray that story and to what extent is where the rating comes in. And I don't get that. I don't get that desire personally. It's just not for me.
Right. I think people just think it's like going to do a Deadpool effect, but like R-rated suits, Deadpool is designed for Deadpool because Deadpool has got a foul mouth and he does like he dismembers himself basically if he gets killed and that. So you have to show that type of R-rated realism with that type of.
Hey, what's up, Nerdporial? Scott Westbrook, how's it going?
Hello.
Welcome.
But with Star Wars, I don't like it. It just wouldn't. It would not work. Like R-rated, like swearing, because Star Wars has its own language for swearing, as we know. Like is it Dan Ferrick?
Dan Ferrick, yeah.
Dan Ferrick,
Ichuda to an extent also, and
yeah. So there's like it has its own phrases where you couldn't just put the F word or the S word in because it just would not work at all. And then with blood, like lightsabers, like cauterize wounds and blasters cauterize, so you're not going to see guts and stuff.
No.
I mean, the only thing you could see R-rated is probably if you had in the Plagueis novel, the Plagueis loses his bottom jaw, and that's where he has to have a breathing mask. So it's like the only thing that you could really, but it's not like you wouldn't have to go into detail. Why do people need to see someone's face getting completely ripped apart in a show that like Star Wars is designed for kids? We know that.
No blasphemy! Pop them out! Pop them out!
Oh, but that's what it's for. Like, we love it, but we know that's what it's designed for, and we can't expect them to go out and go, right, we're going to make a R-rated show.
No, we can't. Because I don't think that would be a good direction for Star Wars to ever go R-rated.
Just keep working on quality stories like the Book of Boba Fett, and they won't need anything. They won't need anything else.
Acolyte, Resistance, just carry on.
Well, Resistance was a quality show, though.
No, it wasn't. Matt,
yes, it
come
was.
on.
You just don't understand the deep messaging that they were trying to bring forward in that show.
Oh man,
you just don't understand.
No, Forces of Destiny is the best thing that's come out of Disney Star Wars.
Would anyone want an R-rated?
Oh man, no, that would be terrible, nerd. I would hate that, man.
So speaking of R-rated Lucy, I also watched recently Being the Ricardos.
Oh, I heard good things.
The documentary that's on one of the streaming might be Prime Video, I think. I found it quite fascinating.
Yeah.
Especially, I found it especially fascinating in regards to the role that the actor who played Fred Mertz apparently had within that relationship, and that character was played by J.K. Simmons in the Being the Ricardos. And I just think, like Willem Dafoe and some of these other ones that pop up in these roles across different kinds of movies, J.K. Simmons just knocked it out of the park, right? But I do recommend Being the Ricardos. It tells an interesting story around sort of what really caused the breakdown in that relationship and some of the other things, and it really shows how dedicated and what a shrewd businesswoman Lucille Ball was, and also Desi Arnaz. He was an excellent businessman.
Yeah, he's the reason why we have the 3 camera directions too.
Yeah,
it's something like that. That's not exactly the right term.
I've never watched.
It's she taught at the same college that I went to. One of our professors when I was in my film class a few years back had his friend had her as a professor, and they said every day after class she started crying about Desi Arnaz. And Desi Arnaz at the time was working at Santa Barbara, I think it was. And it's just crazy. Like, these things are just, I don't know. So she would cry after every class about Desi Arnaz. Man, that would be very uncomfortable. I just can't imagine that. She must have been in her 70s or something when that was going on, yeah. But she was at the college like in her 70s at that point. It's crazy, but
I recommend that. And of course, I guess I've watched quite a few things recently, and of course, Tick Tick Boom. We've got an Andrew Garfield here. Tick Tick Boom was amazing, right? In regards to this part of the story of Jonathan Larson, and Andrew Garfield played the piano and sang in that movie. That was him doing both of those things.
Didn't he have to get a vocal coach in as well?
Yeah, I think
how to sing and play certain things.
It's not his normal shtick, obviously, but he did both of those things well enough, right, to portray the role in the movie. Because wasn't Jonathan Larson's shtick either, right? I mean, so I recommend both that and Being Ricardo's as worth seeing.
See, I've watched, as I didn't like episode 2 of Book of Boba, I had to go and watch something to cleanse my palate. So I watched the original Blade Runner again and Goonies just to like cleanse myself.
Well, I finally saw all of Goonies recently. There was a watch party, and I was like, "Wow, this is a very good film." And people kept talking about how,
what's wrong, Matt? What's wrong with Goonies?
Goonies is a very quirky movie.
It's a quirky film.
I don't know that I would call it
It's a fun movie.
I don't know that I would call Goonies a good movie.
Really?
I would definitely call it a fun movie and an enjoyable watch, right? But I don't.
The story's
is clearly not
bad,
an award-winning film.
No one's saying that.
I'm just saying, I needed something that was fun and enjoyable. It's an enjoyable
film.
Yeah.
There's another.
I mean, Blade Runner is my favorite movie, and I could just sit there and just listen to the soundtrack by Vangelis any day of the week. I just think that soundtrack is something that's just. I think it's one of the best soundtracks ever put to film, in my opinion. Which a lot of people wouldn't.
I wouldn't either. But I will say this for Matt. He certainly ingrained it into some of our brains. You guys got to see Snake Eyes. You don't understand. You got to see Snake Eyes. And so we watched Snake Eyes. We watched the whole movie.
I think along the same vein as Goonies, right? Snake Eyes is not winning any awards, right?
Well, for me, it was a fun watch. But it wouldn't anyways. It's a G.I. Joe film, and it wouldn't be in that category, so.
I mean, but like I said, there are some. The point is, I think there are some quality movies that have come out primarily for streaming. I know Being the Ricardos was in the theater at least for a time, and that are, to me, they're surprisingly satisfying watches, right? That I think just haven't really gotten a lot of advertisement.
I went and saw Encounter, which is on Amazon Prime with Riz Ahmed, and he believes like there's an alien invasion.
I almost watched that. Yeah, I almost watched that, but I didn't.
Yeah. It's a fantastic movie. I really recommend it. It's something that's just like dropped underneath the radar. But I was able to go and see it in the cinema because my cinema shows, they've got deals with Amazon and Netflix, so they have to show certain movies from there.
Right.
And it was such an interesting premise because you think it's a sci-fi movie, but later on you just find out it's about a father and a son relationship. And honestly, it is one of the best Riz Ahmed performances I've seen in a long time.
Yeah, I like Riz Ahmed. He's good.
I mean, he's been in a lot of films recently. I think the worst movie I've seen him in is Venom, but I don't want to talk about that film.
I heard it was short, but I haven't watched it yet.
What? Encounter?
No, Venom.
Venom. Not Venom. Let there be carnage.
Nick's talking about the original Venom.
The original Venom.
That one I had a lot of problems with. It was. Okay.
I mean, I enjoy Tom Hardy's Venom, but the films are just a bit like.
It's just when Venom comes on, you're like, okay. When is this Tom Hardy? I was like, all right, where is this going? I know Crit had problems with Let There Be Carnage, right? Is that what it's called?
I think a lot of people did because it's been put on their worst of 2021 list.
I guess it still made good money though. I mean, Sony's
made more than Shang-Chi. Made more than Shang-Chi.
It's crazy.
And more than the Eternals, but
the Eternals is coming soon to Disney Plus near you.
So I can't wait to watch it again. I can't wait to not watch it. That's going to be awesome.
Watch it again.
I'm going to have to watch it. Just have an opinion.
I don't know. It's going to be interesting what movie actually knocks off Spider-Man as a top spot. I don't think
Spider-Man's about to unseat Infinity War from a domestic box office standpoint.
Wow,
I think
that is incredible.
Really?
Wow. Nipping at its heels now.
That is amazing. Could it actually go as long and knock off Avatar? Would that be worldwide, domestically?
No, because
I don't think
Avatar
so.
beat Endgame, didn't it? Because of the re-release, and we haven't had even Spider-Man hasn't even had the Chinese box office yet. It hasn't been released in China yet.
Oh wow!
I don't know if it will be released in China though. That's the only thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, in regards to Morbius being moved, right? I think the pandemic was primarily blamed for that, but I really just don't think they wanted to compete with themselves, right? I think they're perfectly happy to continue to let Spider-Man perform.
Well, I don't think it's just to compete with themselves, though, Matt. I think it's also they might add in, as we'll see in the article later, Andrew Garfield in Morbius.
Yeah, I think a lot of that is wishful thinking. I don't think it's impossible, but I really don't think there would be a motivational reason for them to do that unless they're also then going to advertise that he is in it. Because people who are going to see Morbius, I think, are still going to see Morbius when it comes out. There isn't any reasonable expectation that Andrew Garfield was ever going to be in it. So I don't know what the return on that investment would be.
Yeah. I mean, I think because I can see from Sony's point of view, they've got to sort out this whole Sonyverse Venom Morbius situation because we don't even know what universe it is in. Like, is it in its own thing? Is it in the Raimi universe? Is it in the Andrew Garfield universe? Because there's so many conflicting things in, like, especially Morbius with the Vulture turning up, and then that mural with Toby's Spider-Man on it.
Well, yeah, and
where does this take place?
And what is that Moon Knight movie? That's Disney Marvel,
TV
right?
Series.
That's a TV series.
Yeah, that's gonna be on Disney Plus.
And apparently, it's going to be the hardest R-rated type thing on Disney Plus, but still be PG.
I mean, is that
they call it TV? They call it TV-14, right? TV-14, I think, is a step up from PG-13, but it's a step down from TVMA. But The Mandalorian and Book of Boba, they're also TV-14. Right, and I think that
would make sense.
That primarily it gives you the violence,
and no one dies in those shows except Tusken Raiders
and Banthas, right? But it allows them to tweak up. I almost said twerk. I guess to tweak up the violence just a tad, right? So they do the TV-14.
Yeah. I mean, it'd be interesting to see if they ever do go down that route, because I think this is the issue that a lot of people were so excited when Disney brought Fox. Oh my god, we're going to get Fantastic Four and X-Men, but you don't realize Fox don't just deal with those characters; they also deal with Alien, Predator, Terminator, like all these R-rated projects. And Disney are going, we don't know where to put these. Where do we put these?
Yeah, I just don't know. And, getting back to our main topic, which, of course, is these reboots.
What is our topic? Do we have a main topic?
Well, we started talking about how the week went. I think we have a few main topics, So this one, obviously, the problem with these, like, getting back to the whole rebooting thing, a lot of this stuff doesn't work. They can't find the right chemistry, and you need certain chemistry to make this work. And let's just be honest, isn't a lot of these decisions just lazy? Like a lot of these studios have run out of ideas, or they're so afraid to try something new because the evil Twitter mobs are going to get them. But I think it's ridiculous. Like, you don't need to change this stuff, leaving it the way it is, but they can't. For whatever reason, they can't leave it. I mean, if you want to talk about like reboots, I know True Grit was really good, and they changed things a little bit. They made the girl in that a lot less annoying, we'll say, but it was still a really good reboot. They even did the snake sequence really well. They had strong acting, so they can make this work. But even when we had a live action version of Alice in Wonderland, how did that go? That had a lot of problems, I felt, and it just wasn't that dark, gritty movie that I was expecting from Tim Burton. It was just kind of goofy. And
remember, it's Disney because you got Disney behind
right. Disney was involved in that, obviously, yeah. But yeah, so maybe Tim Burton wasn't able to do certain things that he wanted to do. I don't know,
but I mean, on the reboot side of things, like I think people are just comfortable. That's the issue. Like we are getting independent ideas,
Right.
But people don't want to go and see because they don't want to spend their money on something they don't know, because in case they don't get their money's worth from spending it on that.
Right.
I mean, like a good example of that, maybe away from the cinemas, but going to a coffee shop, like people will rather go to Starbucks because they know what product they're getting instead of going to a family-run business because they don't know what they're getting. They might not get a good coffee from the family-run place, but they at least know from Starbucks, we like this from Starbucks. We know we're going to get X, Y, and Z. So that's why people go for the Marvel movies. That's why they go for the superhero stuff, because they know what they're getting in those movies.
Right, true. But I mean, look at all the things we've had reboot, from Flashdance. I mean, the list goes on and on and on and on.
I mean,
They
Doom's a
rebooted
reboot, and I
Hellboy.
love
They
that
rebooted.
movie.
Yeah, I know, but that was a rare thing they added to it, and you had the original people who worked on it too. But it's amazing to me, and I'm so glad they haven't done this. Nobody has touched Back to the Future, and nobody should touch Back to the Future ever. That would be terrible. I don't want to ever see that rebooted in my lifetime ever.
I think with Back to the Future, though, that movie is based in 1985 and then set in the 30 years into the future.
Right.
So they're a bit stuck there doing a reboot of that, because how can you do that now? Because a lot of people,
True.
The issue of like today, when we look to the future, all we think is dystopian. We don't think of a utopia when it comes to things where back in the 80s, people thought about flying cars and all this fun and colourful things. Where nowadays people just be like, oh, the planet's going to be burnt up and destroyed because of all these things.
But you're missing the biggest point, right? If Back to the Future was set in the present day and they went to the past, nobody would want to come back. Right? They would not come back to the future. They would just stay there.
They were pushing limits, especially back in the 80s and 90s. I mean, they're going to push still some limits with film, but it would be nice if they push more. But they're just so nervous about everything, and they're like, "This is not going to make money." Oh my gosh, no!
I was just thinking about that.
Don't give them ideas, Chris.
Like, could you imagine if you went back to the 80s and you'd be like, right, I've got like Indiana Jones coming up. I can go see Empire Strikes Back. I can see Aliens in the theater. I've got all these movies that I just go out and see. And then I've got the 90s as well. Oh, I'll go through the 90s of great cinema.
Yeah, we're still going to get great cinema moving forward. It's going to be tough, and there's still going to be a lot of reboots of a lot of stuff. I mean, I couldn't believe, I never thought it was going to happen, but they were like, let's do Clash of the Titans. Well, have you seen it yet? Oh, well, the second one feels more like this. They rebooted Jumanji, but I guess they changed things. Crit's been trying to push me to watch the Jumanji. I don't know if I want
What, the new one?
Yes, the new ones.
The new one, I don't mind.
The new ones are fun.
They're fun.
Are they?
Fun.
Okay, well, maybe I should give them a
They haven't got the charm, of course, of Robin Williams, but they
sure, of course not. No.
But the chemistry of the people in the newer one, there's been 2 now, right? 2?
Yeah, it's been 2, and they're part of the same universe as the original movie.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
because
very enjoyable.
Into a computer game.
Okay.
I mean, it's no Jungle Cruise, right? But it's still.
Oh my gosh! Yeah, I don't know. I have no comment on that. I haven't watched it. Jungle Cruise. I swear. The trailer.
I didn't go see Jungle Cruise, but my mum and my sister did, and they came out and they went like, it was like Pirates of the Caribbean with National Treasure. I don't know if I actually like it.
Well, don't worry, you'll get another chance. There's a sequel is coming. Jungle Cruise 2. We got another chance.
Yeah, I think it did make good money, so they're gonna make a sequel. Yeah.
No, anything with the Rock.
I can't wait for Matrix 5. To be fair, we know that's coming.
Yeah, Crit did like Jungle Cruise. He said it was a fun movie.
Yeah, I mean, it was no Snake Eyes, but it was fine.
I swear. Definitely but it's just all these reboots, and so it just they upset people, especially fans, with this, and these studios don't care. And then what they do, they change things. Also, they have an agenda, and so they keep changing stuff. They just should stop doing a lot of these things. Like Dune is, they had some of the original people working on it, and so they wanted to be able to do more that they couldn't do with the first movie. And I'm like, yeah, I'm fine with that.
Well, also
that movie made a lot of money. So
like Denis was like, we have to treat the book as the Bible. Like, this is the Bible. We follow it page by page. And it was only the studio that came in and went, right, well, you've got to change one of these characters to fit an ethnicity because there's not enough representation on screen. So that's why Denny chose a very side character where he was like, it doesn't affect the story no matter what this gender or this person's ethnicity is. It still works within the context of the story that is written by Frank Herbert. And this is the thing I think people don't like realize with certain like with Star Wars, like as we're seeing right now, like they're not going, right, this is George's story, we follow it by, like the Bible. People are like, oh, we'll free license and change things here and there. Same with Harry Potter. I mean, okay, it's JK changing a little bit here and there, but it's still like changing the law and not following it like a Bible. So yeah,
I don't know. Dune's pacing was just shit.
For
me.
Yeah.
Very poorly paced. Very poorly paced.
Yeah.
We're gonna get you a shirt, Nick, that says the pacing.
Oh, I watched.
My God, the pacing.
I watched Blade Runner. I did watch when I watched the original Blade Runner the other night, and I was like going through it, and I'm like, this film is quite clunky, even though it is my favorite movie and it's a really good film. The cuts between the movie, I'm like, it does jump around a lot, and I'm like, okay.
It's just a lot of these ideas of stuff is just lazy. The thing is, there's still filmmakers out there who are trying new stuff, and it can land.
Well, this is the thing that I'm excited for with Avatar 2, not because of the story. I don't really care about Avatar, but at least with James Cameron, he's pushing that technology, and this is why I like Dune. Dune pushes the technology.
True.
And this is what annoyed me with Book of Boba, was because the CGI to me was quite bad. And I'm like, you're supposed, you have ILM, you own ILM. How can this be this bad when you have one of the best visual effects companies behind you? I'm a bit like, come on.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, there will be a marriage. He's going to marry.
If that happens, oh gosh, dude.
I think they're all living in the palace. I think that whole tribe is living in the palace. Low rent housing.
Low rent housing.
Yep.
The Tuscan Palace. The Tuscan Palace.
I like how we try and avoid the Book of Boba, but we just keep going back to the Book of Boba, isn't it?
I'm just highlighting a comment. I'm just highlighting.
Yeah, he is. It's true. He is. But no, it's just we need. I think these studios need to be like, let's stop remaking all this stuff. I mean, there's certain things they haven't touched. They haven't touched Citizen Kane. I don't know if they can. I don't know if that's a movie they can touch, even if they try.
I don't think audiences today could sit down and watch a movie like Citizen Kane.
I don't think so. And there's a lot of thinking going on. I don't think they can take it. I really don't.
Honestly, I'm surprised people stayed and enjoyed Dune as much, because Dune is a heavy movie in the sense there's not much going on.
And thank goodness we haven't seen remakes of North by Northwest, because that is considered a classic, and I never want to see that remade.
Well, Vertigo. We haven't even seen a remake of Vertigo, which is one of the first ever psychological thrillers to be put on screen.
Yep.
By Alfred Hitchcock. I mean, we've seen Psycho get remade. That's the only other.
Yes,
it
was all right. Yeah, it's like what was it with the Anne Heche? Gosh, I haven't heard that name forever.
Yeah. And who is it? John? No. John.
One of the.
Vega?
I'm not sure. It might have been. And I heard the show was good. Norman Bates, right? Was that what?
Yeah, the Bates. Right? It was.
I actually watched that show.
I heard it was good.
I watched that show.
The BBC produced that.
I never watched it.
Whoever played Norman in that show did. I forget who it was.
Freddie Highmore, right?
They did a very good job playing.
Freddie Highmore. He's on some medical show where he has Asperger's.
It's the Spiderwick kid, Cash.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you ever watched.
Spiderwick. Well, he was also in Charlie and the Chocolate Factory, Freddie Highmore, and he was in Finding Neverland, which is another quality film.
This thing, are you guys excited for the Wonka prequel?
No, I'm not. I've seen everything I wanted to see of Wonka. I'm done. They'd have to really just pull me in with that. I don't see it, dude.
I mean, it's there for the Chalamet lovers. Just to see Chalamet in full Wonka outfit, because he's been filming around in the UK. He's spent the whole year on it. Wow.
Yeah, Crit always likes to criticize that movie.
I mean, we've got a new Rolf Dahl movie coming out. As Matt sent me an article yesterday with Wes Anderson going back to Rolf Dahl.
I mean, and I thought that looked interesting to me, right? And I was like, okay.
Is it animated or is it going to be live action?
I thought it was live action. At least that's the way I interpreted it.
Fantastic Mr. Fox. I think that is one of Wes Anderson's best movies. Even though Grand Budapest is fantastic, but I just like.
Yeah.
I'll tell you a movie that's coming out that I want to see that surprised me that they were even making it is that Poirot movie about the Nile, Murder on the Nile, or whatever.
That's a remake, though.
It is a remake.
Yeah, I don't know about that. It's got a strong
the trailer
cast.
Looked good. Yeah, cast looked good.
It's got a strong cast. It's just
we've had other examples of these kinds of remakes, like Murder on the Orient Express and some of the rest of them. Right, that just
I have a
weren't the greatest.
Really liked
movies.
it as much as the original. I just think these ideas are just lazy. I guess they want to like, oh well, you haven't watched the original, so here's one for the new generation. I don't know.
But you know why they do this, Cash? Like we can go over it and over again. It's just because it's easier. People will go and see a remake over a new idea. This is why indie movies lost 30% of their average revenue back in 2019 before the pandemic. They're not popular. Indie movies are just like dying off because people would rather spend their $15 or $20. I don't know how much I think it is over there for you guys. It's about £13 over here, just to go and see a movie. And people would rather go and spend it on a Marvel movie because they find those films fun. Like people just want that escapism.
I wish I was excited as much as Matt about Scream 5. I really do.
Well, listen, we just got Lawrence of Tatooine, right? That was very well received. It's the best thing anyone's ever seen, right?
Oh,
so I mean,
hey, what's up?
Let's put a train in the desert.
It's going.
And copy Lawrence of Arabia. Copy. It copied Terminator 2 as well. I was rewatching the Book of Boba, and you know when he's in the bar and he beats up the motorcyclist and then goes out and steals the speed bikes. The shot is straight out of when Arnold goes in, beats up the motorbike guys, and nicks the motorbike.
So crazy. I want.
And he never even got the power converters while he was there. Could have at least taken some power converters to go.
Yeah, the power converter girls, from.
It's really interesting how angry people are. Just angry if you have any kind of problems right now with Book of Boba. They are just angry. I mean, the whole
Cash, you need to do your homework first. You'll understand.
I need to do my homework. I need to understand.
Do your homework.
I need to do my homework. But yeah, they're so angry. Like it's okay if people don't like something. It doesn't mean it's the end of the world. But these people, they want people like EBN and other channels that have anything bad to say about this show canceled. It seems. Oh, you're horrible people. It's insane to me. Just
people can't split themselves from fantasy and reality. And the issue that you have with these lot of people, like with the whole Black Chrysanthemum thing. I mean, when I was watching the episode with Crit, I was like, oh, I know that Wookiee's from the comics, but I'm not sure if it's the same person. I don't really care if it is the same person.
Right.
But a lot of these people went and watched Theory's channel and gone, oh, I know who Black Chrysanthemum is because I've watched his YouTube videos. They haven't even read the comics. The comics are not making money. And you got these people who just think they know it all because they went on Wikipedia. But it's the same thing with the Eternals. Like the Marvel stands were like, oh yeah, I know everything about the Eternals. And you're like, have you read a comic from the Eternals? And they're like, no. I just read my Wikipedia page.
Yep, I know it all. Read the Wikipedia page.
I don't know. I thought Evil Chewie looked good, right? I thought they did a good job.
Yeah, man.
Oh yeah, I love that scene.
That was cool. I'm like, all right, Boba, you and Evil Chewie, let's go. Nope. Oh, okay.
I saw this
right.
Since we keep talking about it, right? I saw this comment earlier from Crit, right, in regards to backtracking and Tuskens in every episode, right?
Mm-hmm.
I just have to say, for me personally, given what I've seen so far, I think it's extremely likely that the Tuskens will be in every episode.
Mm-hmm.
And as we move, now again, the chief cinematographer has said episodes 5, 6, and 7 is where it's at, and where really fans are going to love it, etc. But at some point, these timelines are going to converge. And I believe the Tuskens will continue to be with us in each and every episode. They're not going to abandon the Justice for Tuskens timeline or messaging now. They're all in. They are 100% all in.
Yep.
Yeah,
definitely.
I think so. And so, but it's just, we're basically in the haters club.
But what annoys me is that you have these people going, "Oh, wait for episodes 5, 6, and 7." But why should I go through 4 episodes of a show before getting to the good part of the show?
You're not giving the writers a chance, Nick. Give the writers a chance to tell their story.
Like Chernobyl is my favorite.
Shut up. Give them a chance. Shut up.
No, fuck them.
Shut your mouth when you're talking to me.
Fuck them.
Watch the show.
Fuck
watch
John
the show.
Fuck Jon Favreau. I don't care. Okay, just write a fucking show that you're engaged from minute to minute. I'm not waiting until the end of a series to go, yeah, that's okay. Like, cool. I enjoyed the last 5 minutes of the final episode.
Until you understand the lore as much as I do, I don't want to hear from you. You need to go. You need to learn the lore. Then you can come back to me and have a conversation.
Yeah. I ain't gonna read anything from Disney. I've been like jumping to the EU because it's so much better stories than that. At least
the EU is irrelevant, right? This is obviously not the Boba from the EU. I mean, if you want any other nails in the EU coffin, are you not watching it right now? My goodness.
It's like my favorite TV show is Chernobyl, and that I can't.
I've heard really good things about that.
Yeah, and I can't tell you what my favorite episode is because each episode engages you.
Spoiler alert! There is a meltdown. There is a meltdown.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert!
But that's called quality writing. And it engages you from start to finish. They don't go right. When you get to episode 4, you will enjoy at a 32-minute mark. No.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, you have to keep watching until there is a meltdown, right? The whole show really starts once there's a meltdown. You have to get to that point.
Oh, wait a minute! Doesn't the meltdown happen in the first episode right at the beginning?
No, they would never give it away. They would never. You cannot give it away. You cannot give the story away in the first episode. Never. 5. You got to get 5. You got to get to 5 out of 7. Then you can really start showing them something.
Well, this is the thing, like with Book of Boba. Why is it taking so long to them explain? Like, why does Boba claim he's a crime lord when he's only got 3 people behind him? And what, and he's a good guy. Like he loves Tuskens. Oh, but I'm a crime lord. What does crime mean? What is the definition of crime? Oh, it means he's a good guy. Does it? Really?
I don't know, but he's got. Somebody needs to give 88 a raise because that son of a bitch, the only one guarding the palace while everyone else is walking everywhere.
That's a good point.
I mean, when that droid
I think they literally leave, and the last thing they say to 88 is, "Don't open the door for anyone but us." I think that's exactly what they say, and then they all walk out.
Yep. And then there's look, we're going to drop you into the Rancor pit, and he goes, "Oh, the mayor sent me." Aha, it's empty. Like,
well,
it's not funny.
Well, Green Lantern, his comment, I don't know. Is this show show considered woke right now? I don't know. It's just not. It's just not the Boba Fett that I'm waiting for right now. But look, it may be right what other people are saying that he may end up killing a lot of people later on in later episodes. I hope personally. I just want to see him actually make more threats, but. That's what
someone did say, like, remember, guys, you don't want him coming in guns blazing in the first episode he appears in. And then what does he do in the first episode he appears in? Or he comes in guns blazing and says hardly anything.
It's true. It's true. Yep.
I don't know. I think the character development is just top notch, right? I mean, I think the writers have been doing an excellent job, right? On the ABN stream, I was literally told by someone in the chat that once I saw the whole thing, I should apologize to the writers for not having enjoyed the first couple of episodes, to which I responded, I'm not going to apologize to anyone for my opinion.
That's right.
On all the episodes written by Jon Favreau anyway, and there's only one episode that's co-written by Dave.
Right. Filoni. It's like I'm not I was like, for me, Jon Favreau, whomever else is writing it, as far as I'm concerned, it's always a nameless person writing it. I have nothing against them or their family, right? If I don't like the story, or if I think independent research is a requirement for me to like the story more, I consider it a writing failure.
Yeah.
That's just simple. For me, it's simple math.
I think a show like Boba Fett, the Book of Boba Fett, it's a decent show, but I want it to get better. And people want to keep fighting with us about how he's not a stone cold killer. Fine. He can be more than one dimensional. I get that. But if he's a crime boss, and he's a crime boss that I hope he's going to turn into, there's going to be some threats. And if those threats are not taken seriously, there's going to be consequences. So.
Well, he did. He threatened the Hutts very, very strongly when he told them to put their contract away.
That was
they're flying on their magic carpet. Yes.
Yeah. But it's even like when Black Chrysanthemum walks in, all he does is growl and just stand there to look cool. Why does he not beat someone up, or a Gamorrean guard runs up, tries to take him down, and you just see him kill the Gamorrean guard? Then at least there's stakes behind that person instead of going, oh, if you read this Vader comic, you realize he's actually this badass warrior that has fought Obi-Wan Kenobi.
Right.
Well, they can't kill any of those. They can't kill any of those Gamorrean guards. Then Boba would have nobody in his crime franchise.
It is that's the thing. Like Matt and I, when we first started talking about the first episode, we're like, "Oh wow, the Gamorrean guards saved him." What?
Did you guys notice though? Yeah. The Gamorrean guards walk out from them in the spa in the first episode, and then they disappear in the next
It was terribly edited, and then they come running out later. It's like, did they go back in because they forgot something? Did they forget their weapons? Where did they go?
I don't know. I just hope the show, and I agree with what Green Lantern said. Like, the Book of Boba isn't too bad. This is not some piece of garbage show. It's not the Boba Fett that people are expecting. And when we get a Book of Boba show, we're just supposed to be happy. And if you're not happy, you deserve to be attacked. Oh, okay. It's only been 2 episodes.
Cash, people being excited for the flashbacks to Camino. People go, 10 out of 10.
Yeah, those are cool.
Flashback to Camino.
I cannot say those aren't cool. They are cool.
They're cool, but it's you don't give a thing 10 out of 10 because it flashbacks to something you love.
Mm-hmm.
Any show could do that. You could see maybe in the next Marvel movie, and it goes flashback to Wolverine, and people go, "Oh, it's 10 out of 10." But the rest of the movie could be absolute garbage.
Yep.
I don't know. I'm ready for the Bad Batch to come back on. Right. I would much rather be watching the Bad Batch right now.
Yeah. Okay.
I mean, given what we're getting, if I had to choose.
Right.
At least the Bad Batch is set in the Imperial era. At least something about that makes me automatically happy.
Yeah.
Right.
Also, the first episode of Bad Batch was fantastic and got you ready. It was just the rest of the season just diddled along and just dragged out. And then you got the Cad Bane episode, and you were like, "Oh yeah," and then it went back down and dragged even.
But they left us with Mount Tantus and some other things, right? Which I think could make for a very interesting second season. And for me, like I said, I found more enjoyment in anticipating what was coming next. I have to tell you honestly, and I hate to feel this way, the only thing that I'm filled with in regards to the third episode of Boba Fett is dread. Right? And I'm like, is it gonna be? Am I gonna consider it good? Yeah. Is it gonna be for me more of the same? Is it gonna be worse?
Well, that's what worries me about EBN. Will EBN now be worried about what backlash they get if they say the third episode is bad or not?
Yeah.
Will they have that in their thoughts? We've got to say we enjoy this, even though we might not enjoy it, but at least we'll say it. Otherwise we've got to deal with another week of getting told to kill ourselves.
That's terrible, dude. Nobody should think that way.
Over a
ridiculous
fantasy show. Yeah. I mean, okay, we love it, we're passionate about it, but you do not tell other people that may not like the art, that they should go and kill themselves.
No, we don't need to talk about that on stream, but yes, I agree. It is wrong, dude, but
Well, taking the Book of Boba out of it for a second, right? The most interesting thing to me about what's happened, again, is the fan perspective. In other words, we have people who are declaring, right? Like as an authority, declaring that this show is either good or great.
Yep.
right? And because that's that opinion, which appears to be the prevailing opinion, okay, but because that's the opinion, anyone who voices any kind of negativity about it at all, whether it's defended or not, is perceived to be wrong because the declaration has been made that this is a great thing, right? That all of these, it somehow it becomes gospelized, right? And it becomes written in stone almost that this series is a good series. Right. So anybody who doesn't like it is therefore ignorant, wrong, moronic, or just doesn't get it. And that's the part of it where I'm like, I'm not providing any negative feedback at all if you're saying it's good. All I'm saying is why, for me, I think it's missing the mark, right? But there is no dialogue about that because almost unilaterally the other party discounts anything you have to say because they've already decided and feel justified in saying it's great.
Yeah. So Green Lantern has an interesting comment that we can think.
Yeah. But
so the interesting thing about this, right, is because EBN, because they chose a different tact, right? What's been happening is a lot of people have been live streaming, pseudo watch partying, which again is a little weird. Star Wars Santa, I think, does it better because when he watch parties, it's actually on screen with captioning. Right. You can't hear the audio, but you could at least follow along. So you're not like just staring at somebody looking at it, right? Off screen and waiting, right? But most everyone is doing a live screen reaction. Or a watch along, and then immediately following, they're doing a live screen Q&A or whatever, and then they're shutting it down and going to bed.
Right.
What EBN decided to do was they were going to do a Patreon video where they've recorded the entirety of their watch along. And then they were immediately going to post a spoiler reaction as a video. And it worked, but exactly in a way they didn't expect, right? They gave their opinions. They posted it very quickly. They felt like, because they had no other videos to look at and they weren't on anyone else's watch parties, obviously, they felt like they were in the majority opinion about the episode. And you got people coming off other people's live streams or coming online immediately the next day, finding EBN's stream first and totally seeing a thumbnail, this is bad, etc. And then having a fake dialogue, if you will, that didn't even give them the benefit of consuming the video. So I think on Green Lantern's point, right, this is a large reason why a lot of the commentary came from non-members, right? The algorithms spun it out very quickly because they were first to the party. I think if they change anything, and I don't know if they are, but I think if they change anything this next time is they may not be the first people to post a reaction.
Right, they just may not, which is ridiculous in itself, but yeah. And by the way, Mr. Two Star Wars Nerds, what's up, guy? What's up, dude?
Hello.
Welcome.
But again, it's like it's art. Art is subjective. Like, I don't know if you guys have ever watched At Eternity's Gate with Willem Dafoe as Van Gogh, and it's about Van Gogh's final artwork. People despised his art. Absolutely hated it. He got told he was nuts, crazy, mental for doing the artwork he was doing. It was hurting people, all this. And then now we celebrate Van Gogh's artwork. Because over time we've appreciated that art. Now
he's a master.
He's a master, yeah. So why are we getting so humped about someone's opinion over a piece of art that maybe over time that opinion could change and other people come along and they enjoy that art? But why do you need everyone to enjoy that art?
Yeah, I don't know. It's crazy with this whole Book of Boba thing. It's going to be very interesting if this keeps going in the same direction. Is this going to cause a huge rift between whatever's... I think there's still a big fan base for Star Wars, I think. I haven't really checked.
I think what they're trying this people become so tribalistic with Star Wars.
Yes,
it's either you like it or you don't like it, and if you're
Right.
an EU fan, go away. It's new
Yep.
Star Wars. We don't want you around.
Right.
Like, you are either on board with this train or you're off this train. And I think, as Coach explained in his recent video, is like he's had Neurotic, and that group, they've had that group that used to be there and supporting them. They've abandoned the Book of Boba Fett. They've abandoned Disney Star Wars. They're one of the last people on that front line from that side of the community, even though they might not agree with all their points of view, but that side of the community that still goes out and watches it. So people can't go and attack Jeremy or Neurotic. They go to the next person who's watching it and attack them and express their points of view to them instead of the people they're really targeting.
It's just crazy, you know. I mean, what's going to be next after Book of Boba that people are going to attack people? Did people get attacked if they didn't enjoy Hawkeye or some of this other stuff or Loki?
No.
Or
I sure did, right? But again, and of course, Mr. Two Star Wars Nerds has a good point here in regards to how much pre or post work should be required, right, in order to get the maximum enjoyment out of what you're looking at. And I think on one of the streams I said recently, and then I rewatched the beginning of the BN stream, and Ryan Kinnell even said the same thing, which is the homework aspect, or I didn't really understand that. Let me go and research some more things about it. That should enhance your enjoyment, right? That should be an enhancement to your enjoyment of what you watched. If you find that it's a requirement to understand any of the characters that were displayed or any of the interactions that didn't make sense, then I think there's been an issue with the writing there. Whether it's explained in a subsequent episode or not, you're relying in those cases that your audience is hooked enough to make it to the next episode to get that understanding, or you are expecting them to go and do offline after the fact work to put the pieces together and find that those pieces are interesting enough and educating enough for them to say, okay, I can come back to the next episode now, understanding more about this. It wasn't like that in The Mandalorian.
No, like with the Ahsoka episode, like people didn't go, right, you don't know who Ahsoka is? That's your fault. Like, you should do this. We should go and watch Clone Wars. Like, people said, if you're interested, go and watch Clone Wars. Like, how? Like, it will expand you, but you don't need to watch Clone Wars to understand the Ahsoka episode.
Yeah.
Well, Bob Saget was just due to be here, and I was like, I'm not going to go and see him because I'm not into Bob Saget. Did he really die? I don't see any evidence that he died.
I don't think he did.
Bob Saget dead at 65.
Oh my goodness.
What does it say? Yeah, he was in Orlando. He was going to be here next, or he was going to be here later in the week.
Not that.
Damn.
I'm just laughing at Mr. Two Star Wars Nerds comment.
On Saturday night, he was in Jacksonville. He was just here yesterday.
Jeez. Do you know what he died of, or is that not declared?
It doesn't say, but this says on Saturday he was in Jacksonville doing a show at the Ponte Vedra Concert Hall, where he actually shouted out the crowd early Sunday morning. Yeah, so I mean, I know he was just here. It doesn't say. It just says he was in the Ritz.
No.
Actually, I know exactly where he was staying. Had a very bad experience in the steakhouse there. Sheriff Department and Fire Department responded about 4 p.m. after hotel security had found Bob in his room.
Wow.
Pronounced dead on the scene, but circumstances of the death are still unclear.
Wow.
Oh, I wonder I hope it's not drugs or something. It could be.
You probably watched Book of Boba.
Oh no. Jeez, dude.
He probably watched it. Somebody didn't like his reaction and said they wished he was dead, and then look what happened, right?
Yeah, that's horrible.
But
that's awful.
That's not good. I wonder if something I don't know. Was he ever on drugs in his life? It's possible.
I don't know. That's something that won't be really declared if he was. unless it was
right.
the cause of it.
It might have been. Who knows?
But,
why is no one talking about the great film called Snake Eyes? Thanks, Average. I swear to look at Snake Eyes.
I'll never let that go. I was watching a film with the guy who played Snake Eyes, Henry. Is it Henry? I can't remember his last name, but he was in The Gentleman, which is a Guy Ritchie movie that came out a couple of years back. I don't know if you guys have watched it. It's got Matthew McConaughey.
Yes. Why is Average blocked for fight?
I timed him out.
That's so terrible. That's so terrible. Oh, man. Unban that man. Jeez. Oh, wow.
I didn't ban him. I just timed him out.
Oh, yeah.
No, but I don't. Before the awful
news.
Bob Saget news, right? I mean, I think my ranting and raving, right, and back on sort of the pre-work post work, right, is I hope, I hope that as the story continues, they do a better job of connecting the dots, right? Because I feel right now like somebody else described in another video I watched, right? She was a little bit more on the pseudo-negative side, right? And she said she felt like across these couple of episodes, John and Dave just got out all their favorite action figures and just said, let's just put them in frame for a minute, show them off, take them away, put them back in the case, and maybe bring them out later or have some conversation about it. Probably.
Yeah, I think you said it. I remember.
And so, and that resonated with me, right? Because again, we had the Pike show up, we had Black K show up, right?
Yep.
We had Hutz show up. We've had a lot of these folks show up with little to no warning, little to no real explanation, and then they immediately were taken off screen to go and to go where and to do what. We haven't the faintest idea.
Right.
Yeah.
So what's better, Hoth or Batman? Can't they both be? Can't we?
Oh,
isn't
that what two Star Wars?
Hoth is the clear winner here.
Hoth is the clear. The ice planet.
Gotta be Hoth.
Cash doesn't understand the context of this conversation. Bloody Matt with Hoth loves that. Loves all the Lego Hoth sets so much.
Oh, is this a Lego thing? Is this a Lego question? Oh, geez. Okay, I didn't know that. He didn't say that.
It's because I've recently built the new Batman sets from the new movie coming out in March, and I bought them instead of buying the Hoth sets because Lego just likes to make loads of Hoth sets and nothing else. Yeah. So yeah, Batman sets are the better one out of the lot, and better value for your money as well.
Do you guys ever feel like you're selling your soul to Lego with all the stuff you buy from them?
I don't know what you're talking about. I have very few Lego sets. No idea of what you speak.
It's not like I've got 200 Lego Star Wars sets.
Oh man, it's too funny.
But no, I mean, like, I think because Lego's been a part of me since I was a kid. So, and it's what's kept me connected with Star Wars and movies was a lot of that. So.
Right.
I need to go do my homework. I need to go do my homework.
He needs to go do his homework. We need shirts that say that and wear them on stream. We need to do our homework. Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. It's just I don't know. It's really weird. Like people are just ready to always bring in. They're just arm themselves with their opinions, and like Mr. 2 Star Wars Nerd said earlier, the gatekeeping, it's not going to help anything. And it's just like, oh, I don't like this, or I don't watch this. How could you not like this? I mean, we have people who liked Hawkeye. Well, that's great. I watched the first Hawkeye, and then I was like, can I go and watch Daredevil? I would rather watch Daredevil instead. And then you watch Daredevil, and you're like, can we get more of this? Like all the time? Like all the time. Can we get more of this, please? Please. I want this all the time. Because there's just so much greatness to it. The action, the characters, the strong performances, the consequences, and people, wait for it, are going to die. So in Boba Fett, are we going to see, well, a few people have died, I guess. Sometimes I feel they were just stunned, but who knows. Yeah.
But also, Cash, I think there's something that was brought up on EBN stream is escapism. I think is just dying out. Because you actually look at the Book of Boba, people are like, oh my God, I feel so related to the Tusken Raiders. It's like, why do we keep relating to these characters?
Right.
On like oh my god, we can see this with the Native Americans, and like they're trying to push so much relativity, and like, oh, you've got to have a message, you've got to be taught something after this. It's like, I don't want to keep getting told through a piece of medium like I've learned something about today's cultural history. I come to watch Star Wars to get away from that. Or I watch these shows to watch someone get beaten up and having like good action scenes because I just want to escape from it. Oh my god!
We can always count on extra comedy in the chats for sure.
Oh man.
Yeah, it's just weird because it's the same thing. Like my friends, like, how can you not like DC and enjoy? I said, I'm just waiting for DC to blow me away again. Give me something like Wonder Woman, the first Wonder Woman movie, then I'll be quite happy. Give me something like
1984 was.
Oh, shut up!
I hated 84.
Shut up!
I had a lot of problems with 84. I had a lot of problems with whatever Birds of Prey. I don't want to talk about.
I know X-Wing was in 1984. And that.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, again, but this is the whole this whole notional escapism, right? And this is another. I feel like I'm remaking all my own points again, right? But again, in some of these franchises, which are very long lived, right? They have survived for a very long time without the injection of current world, current day, politics, or social justice issues, or activism mantras, right? And that doesn't say that any of that stuff is bad,
right?
It just says that from an escapism standpoint, I don't see why we would want it. Like I was listening to R&B usually I find him very reasonable, right? And he had a small panel on, and they were speculating about why no one had made a movie yet about the pandemic. And I'm thinking to myself, why, for fuck's sake, do I want to watch a movie that has to do with the pandemic when we're still living it?
So depressing. And people, there's been so few people on the news who are like, I feel like it's a brave comment to say, like, to Hollywood, why don't we have some more happy movies, especially after what we've been going through? Like, it would be nice.
Well, that's why
happy movies would be good.
Well,
it's great to have more choices.
That's why I like Dune so much, because at least Dune felt an escapism. It was like a brand new world. It wasn't draining in today's politics. It was carrying and it was very much the hero's journey within that story. But it was like, finally, I've got a piece of media where I can like dig myself into and escape from today's political mess of a world that we're in.
Right.
But again, if I turn on the TV or go to the movies, right, and I feel like they're trying to show me a very thinly veiled lesson, or make me appreciate or understand something that they feel is an important thing for me to grasp at that moment, I want to turn it off.
Well,
it's like Matrix 4 is a great example. Matrix 4 was so meta, it pulled like a lot of people out of it, and then there's people going, "Oh, you're not smart enough to understand that it's all about today's world." I'm like, I don't want to watch a Matrix movie about today's world.
Right.
It's not my interest. The first Matrix worked because it took the concept of today with the advancement of technology, and then it made it fantasy and enjoyment. Where the new Matrix was like, "Oh, we're trying to be super meta and funny and bring you into today's world." I'm just like, no, that's not fun, entertaining.
I don't know. The Matrix to me is just, I was over it after 3. And then it's like, I'll watch this new one. But the only reason I think my brother and I were going to watch it because it's on HBO Max. I wasn't interested in going to I'm not going to say those trailers were bad. It's just the Matrix, I guess, I'm supposed to care about it again. No, I'm not sure. And it bombed at the box office. It bombed all over the place, dude. As bombed on streaming, it bombed at the box office. People just, so the question is, and I know Crit and some other people liked it, and that's fine. We're not here to, be like, oh, you liked it, how dare you, but it's crazy to me that we just, maybe it shouldn't have been made. And even if people wanted it.
Well, the movie talks about it shouldn't have been made.
Yes.
It was in the movie where it was like, oh, Warner Bros. Is going to make this with or without you.
Just
wow, you put that in the film is that self-aware that it's telling you that it wasn't supposed to be made. Then why make it?
Yeah, and like Mr. Two Star Wars Nerds said, that all the Matrix 4 that they felt was whack. I will watch it, but it's the Matrix.
Mm.
The Animatrix was cool. I remember watching that. That was cool.
Mm.
But
I have to say honestly, and again, The Matrix is another great example of a movie that a few people have loved a lot. And for those of us who didn't love it a lot, have been told we didn't get it, or we didn't understand. We didn't understand what they were trying to communicate, or it didn't resonate, and it should have, and we're just plain wrong, right, for our perspectives, right? And I'm like, listen, from my standpoint, I didn't find it a good movie. It was whether you think we needed it or not, right? I just didn't feel like it was put together well. It became a zombie movie for some unknown reason.
Right. Yeah.
Right. I don't think the movie, everyone's like, they wrote the movie that they intended to write. I'm like, well, if that's the case, in my opinion, they just shouldn't have done it.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Right.
Yep.
But I'm not trying to disrespect anyone who liked it. I think if fine. It's wonderful to me that folks liked it. The issue is it's all roses when you're agreeing with the positive feedback.
Right.
But the minute you offer any differing feedback, which is negative, then it's all these other things happen, right? And that's where I think we've lost that ability. Clearly not.
You need to do your homework. You need to go and watch the first 3 movies. You have to go to Warner Brothers and understand them.
And the sad thing for me is, and I think it was with Master Paul or somebody who hadn't seen the new Matrix movie yet, and they're talking about rewatchability in the other movies, etc. Not only do I never want to watch this latest Matrix movie again, it made me not want to watch any of the other Matrix movies again.
Not even one, huh? Wow. Not even one.
I mean, I've got the first one coming on 4K soon, so I'm going to rewatch it. Yeah, I got the first one.
The first one is great, and I remember even when that one was coming out in the theaters, it was like, am I really interested in this? I watch it. Wow, okay. Then you watch the second one. Wow, that freeway sequence is cool, but what else do I remember about this movie?
But it's like when two
right, exactly.
Two stars brought up about the about he wants a new IP.
I agree.
This is why I like A24 is one of my favorite studios that's out there, because they make independent film that like are new ideas, and they could easily be spawned off into new franchises if they wanted. Like the Green Knight could turn into a franchise if it wants to be. But I just think that we're not going to find anything new because people just like comfortability, and that's the.
Yeah, I mean, the fans can be the problem, but in these studios, but when the studios are just going out of their way to say such ignorant things, I'm the first this, I'm the first that, and then they're just attacking fans for not liking stuff that's already been built with source material that people have loved for so many years. It's just ridiculous to me. What are these new actors and actresses come out and like, we're going to go and attack
source materials don't exist. The books don't exist. As Kathleen Kennedy has told us, there's no such thing as source material.
No source material.
There has to be source material for everything. There's source material. There's a lot of source material that's really good that has been written over the years and should be used. You don't have to use all of it. I had this discussion with a friend of mine. She's like, I don't want to see everything that's in the comic because we've seen the comic already. I'm like, you don't have to use everything, but you can use a lot of it because it's really good source material, and that's why people like reading it.
I mean, like me with Dune. Right.
See you later, dude. Have fun.
See you later.
Bye, man.
That's why I like with Dune. Dune made me pick up the book and made me read the book. Not many movies have made me go out and buy the source material to go and read it. Even my favorite movie, which is Blade Runner, I've got Philip K. Dick's book that's Do Androids Dream of Electric Sheep. I haven't read it yet because I'm like, I love the movie. I don't really feel like I need to read the book, which is based off of. But yeah, I don't know. I mean, like, good with. I know I keep saying Dune, but like Dune didn't make that much money at the box office either, and that's
True.
a brand,
It
sort of a new IP.
just about broke even, I think.
Yeah,
I remember hearing.
Yeah, and that tells you that all my cinemas was like every screen I went into was full for Dune, except IMAX wasn't full. But all the 2D screenings I went to, it was pretty packed. But it still didn't make enough money because not enough people went out and trusted the movie. But with Spider-Man, because they know Spider-Man, they feel comfortable with Spider-Man, and all the talks of Tobey and Andrew returning back, I'll go and see the film.
Well, if they're not in the movie, all hell breaks loose. So.
Yeah, but it still makes.
I mean, I know it's an academic question, right? But I really would have loved to know how well Dune would have done if it wasn't released the same day and day, right, on HBO Max, right?
Yep.
Would people have risked going out and seeing and taking a chance because it wasn't convenient to chance it on HBO Max, and how much lift would that have provided? Because I can guarantee you that the next one ain't going to come out the same day on HBO Max.
No, they've already put there because Legendary nearly had a falling out with Warner Brothers over it because Legendary paid 75% of that box of the budget to make the movie, and Warner Brothers only had distribution rights, and they went, we're going to stick it on HBO Max to pull more money for us, and Legendary were like, no, we paid the majority of this movie. Why are you taking away our returns? And that's why I think Green Part 2 got lit, because Warner Bros. Went, okay, we will green light Part 2 if you let us do the day and day release.
Yep. Hey, Solonic, what's up, dude?
Hey, but
let's get this one out of the way, because I know we have one person on the panel who didn't like it, and it's not me.
Nope, it's not me
either. Where is he?
He likes
He's ugly and wearing a green shirt today, so.
Gosh. I'll take it off.
No, please. No more shirtless. No more shirtless streaming.
We've seen enough to
last my guns, like, yeah,
It wasn't his guns that he was showing off.
Showing off his hairy armpits, I know that much.
It's just I know you, but see, the thing is, Nick, Matt and I aren't going to be like, oh, how dare him, like we may feel you might be wrong on your opinion, but we're not going to be like you're a terrible
you think
person.
I'm wrong on most of my opinions anyway, so
that's not true.
Because you are wrong on most of your opinions.
Matt says that I don't, Nick. You and I agree on a lot of stuff.
Well, he says it behind your back. I say
right. No, it's fine, like, but I just, I really enjoyed Spider-Man. It gave me a lot to love, and it gave me Tobey and Andrew. That was awesome. But, I can also see your point too, that there's, you're digging even more into it, that, Dune, just for you, that's been just something great because of the books you've read of Dune. I haven't read the books. I probably need to read the books.
It wasn't, but Cash, it wasn't the books that made me love Dune. No. I went there and I saw, why do I come to the cinema? The movie told me why I love cinema, why I go and see these things, these bigger than life stories, this amazing sound design, and getting thrown into a world that is familiar, but also very different. And with Spider-Man, I just see with Spider-Man what the pull for people, and the reason why they give it a 10 out of 10 is because of Tobey and Andrew and seeing all the villains back on screen. Because that movie, majority relies on...
It's never going to die.
It relies on the Raimi trilogy and the 2 Amazing Spider-Man movies. It doesn't actually... if you took that out, the movie is just an okay movie in a lot of people's minds.
Well, I think the deal for me is they're spectacles of 2 different kinds completely, right? Dune is a more cerebral spectacle. There is a different kind of storytelling going on in Dune, whereas No Way Home, it being a spectacle is its point, I think. right? And having a story which really is more jovial in a way. I mean, I know it isn't always a happy movie, right? But it has that popcorn feel to it, right? It's much more of a, let me just sit here and enjoy this. Let me take it all in. It has characters that I've loved before that are brought back in a way that worked, right? And it had a couple of other scenes that had some deeper meaning for people who are very invested in the franchise. So we did that, right? Dune is not a popcorn movie. I'm not saying you couldn't have popcorn in the movie, right? But you know what I mean? That you had to pay attention, right? And you had to try and comprehend a little bit more and fill in some of the blanks and just understand it a little bit more deeply than I think you had to for No Way Home. So it's hard for me to compare the two because they're just not the same kind of movie.
No, and also I look at Spider-Man has a lot of plot holes, though. That's the issue I have with Spider-Man in the overall MCU.
Like, thank you, Scott. We appreciate it.
With, of course, spoilers, when they wipe the memory of everyone knowing who Spider-Man is Peter Parker, wouldn't there be recordings? Wouldn't there be, like, old news footage where it says Peter Parker is Spider-Man from the Daily Bugle? And, like, people would look back and see all that type of thing.
Right.
I think that if we buy into the fact that that was really the only spell that could be told at that point, I think what had to go along with that would have been the eradication of any work product, right, that came from anyone having known who the relationship between Peter Parker and Spider-Man, right? Otherwise, it just wouldn't work. Now, again, I like the movie very fine, right?
Yeah.
I mean, I enjoyed it a lot. But I have seen some critical reviews of it just saying, was that really the only spell and he couldn't do it right once and then he does it right again? You know, I don't want to read into all of that unnecessarily. I think because it wasn't, I don't think they designed that part of the plot as something that you really need to read into, right? But all I'm saying there is if you make the leap that the spell is going to work to erase everyone's memory of that, then you have to also connect into it any related fruit of that forgotten tree, right? And so, you know, it's one of those things where on average, you know, average is valuing your opinion greatly.
Hey, it's just again another.
And I guess we missed the fact that Green Lantern hasn't seen it yet. So
he said that earlier. He doesn't mind. So,
so I'm glad for that, right?
We actually saw Tom Holland show more emotion probably than the last few Spider-Man films, which I love seeing raw emotion of a character where they're like, "Man, I screwed up. I really screwed up badly. And I don't know how to deal with this." And for his friends to come over and say, "Look, dude, we're going to figure this out together." And it's like, it's great to see that. But I love when characters break down. There's actually raw emotion. Like he was legitimately crying. And I was like, this is great to see, you know, and I agree with Aiden. This was Tom Holland's best performance as Spider-Man in the Spider-Man movie. I just felt like there was some good raw emotion, and I appreciate that.
I agree. I mean, when I saw the movie, first of all, I thought Toby and Andrew were, well, mostly Toby was just doing it more for a paycheck than he was doing it. He wanted to be there, but then after a couple of more viewings, so I saw it a bit differently. But I just find, I think I gave up the MCU after watching Black Widow and Shang-Chi. Like, to me, those movies killed the MCU completely for me. And also, I look at Endgame as the final bookend to that franchise.
Well, this is why you need to see Eternals. Eternals will restore your faith in the franchise. This is what happened. If you would have seen Eternals in the theater, you wouldn't.
You know what I did instead, though, Matt? Instead of going to see Eternals, I saw Doom for a sixth time.
Oh, I know. I remember. Remember the conversation.
But again, I just gave up because even with the MCU shows, after Loki got hit in the balls 4 times in one, I was like, that's it. I'm not fun. This is not entertainment anymore.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Well, you missed the mac and cheese scene in Hawkeye. That was pretty on point.
Oh, I'm sure that was great. I gotta get to that scene. I'm sure it's amazing.
But I gave up I've given up with the MCU, and maybe I haven't given up reason with the Sonyverse because it's from a different company. I've had enough of Disney just focusing on superhero shows.
Right.
I just want. I like to have like different places to go for my superheroes. Oh, Buzzkills! Oh, bugger off, Crit.
Yeah, bugger off.
Shut up, Crit.
With the Buzzkill.
He'll be in his next video. Shut up, Crit. You just don't understand. You don't understand the deeper.
You don't understand, Crit.
Come back when you understand better.
Crit, you need to do like you're a storyteller. You know how stories go. Like you should understand. You should like
go do your homework.
Oh, it's too funny. Yeah.
But I mean, like again, I'm happy that people like No Way Home, and I even said when I saw it a second, fourth time, I said I'm just happy to see it's making money at the cinema because I'm a big supporter of the cinema. It's a place that I love truly, and just seeing people going out to the cinema to go and see this film is a big thing for me.
Mm-hmm.
I agree with you, right? But on the same token, in a way, it really depresses me because what it tells me is, unless the movie is a No Way Home, people seem to be done with the movies.
Mm-hmm.
And that is evidenced by every other movie I've seen recently, which is not No Way Home.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And the level of participation and the amount of people who have been in those theaters, it's pitifully small.
Yeah. I mean, like when I look back at my top 5 of last year, sorry, like I had The French Dispatch by Wes Anderson. I didn't make that much money. Hardly anyone saw that. Last Duel, not many people saw that. The Green Knight, not many people saw that. Can't remember what Nobody, no, but not many people saw that. And Doom. And again, Doom really didn't have as many people as we thought going to see that. So I do agree with you, Matt. It does show. But I don't know where you can go from there, though. I just think, are people really now becoming picky and choosy of going to the theatre, like to the cinema, because of money being so tight, and people are like juggling, like, do we go to a movie theatre or do we just wait it comes out on streaming because we're paying £7-8 a month?
You just said it exactly right. I think people have become very conditioned now to say, I'll just wait. Either I'll just wait for it to come out, or I'll wait for an alternative offering that's coming straight to a streaming service that I already subscribe to. And I think what most people might not think about is, if everyone adopts that strategy of I'll just wait until it comes on streaming, there will be no more movies released in the cinema to come to streaming. Right? All movies in the future would be made for streaming only, and they will not be to the cinematic quality that people have become accustomed to.
Well, that's why Christopher Nolan left Warner Brothers. Denis Villeneuve is really worried because I don't know if you guys saw him with talking to James Cameron about like going to streaming. It was on Variety, and James Cameron is quite excited to do streaming and movies. But like Denis is going, well, if we lose theaters, we won't have that big screen reason why you go to the cinema. Go and see big screen things, because the studios will just cut the budget and go, right, we'll just do a TV show instead on a smaller budget and less graphics, because people don't need like good graphics on a smaller screen. It's even like David Lynch hates people watching films on their smartphones.
Yeah, well, Patty Jenkins was talking about that too. She doesn't like streaming services either. It's interesting, and the thing is, she
left Warner Brothers for it.
And the thing is, Nick, I will also say this about these directors and producers. They can always bounce back with stuff. If they don't like a property, they can always be like, okay, we made mistakes. But a lot of them have their heads so far up their butts that I don't know if that's going to happen. And, I would always praise Patty Jenkins for what she did with the first Wonder Woman movie. It was a quality film. It was a fun movie. But the second film,
But again, look at Patty Jenkins. She's given up a independent project just for Star Wars.
Right.
She gave up Cleopatra for Star Wars. She probably would do a better job with Cleopatra than she would do with Star Wars.
Yeah.
But she saw, I can put my name to something with Star Wars and be part of these studios. Right. They're paying me good money if I do that.
Well, is that going to happen though?
Wouldn't pay.
Is that Rogue Squadron movie gonna happen though? Do you think it'll still happen, or?
I think it will now. She's given up with Cleopatra. And I think that's wrong for her to give up Cleopatra because she needs other movies next to her big budget movies. Mm-hmm. Like if you look at Christopher Nolan, he had the Dark Knight while he was doing the Dark Knight trilogy. He had movies in between, so he can still have a portfolio of I'm not just the Dark Knight guy. I've also done Inception. I've also done Interstellar. I've also done.
But do we really? Who wants a Cleopatra movie, right?
Yeah,
do we really think that if she had stuck it out with Cleopatra, that it would have been any feather in her cap? Yeah. I think she probably looked at it and she was like, I could stick with Cleopatra, get the film made and release it, but what am I going to get for that? Right? I think she's like, if I'm going to try and invest my time in anything and maximize my return on that investment, might as well go back to the Star Wars thing.
Mm-hmm. True. And we don't know how much so I imagine when the press came out, they went to Paddy and went, we'll pay you X amount. Just because we don't want to lose another director and we don't want the bad press again.
Yeah, bad press again. Yeah, but just and the thing is, when these people come out and they attack these films and they say this, and then the studio's like, okay, we're going to go after the fans, and then all these other people, I like to call them the drones, they jump on board and they're like, yeah, they're right. I can't believe they're attacking the studios. It's like, all people are asking is you guys do a better job because we've seen it before. So just do a better job. And there's still going to be quality films, but everything is just always so polarizing, especially with politics and this and that. Like the certain politics that were in Wonder Woman 1984 didn't need to be in there because they could have followed a lot of the comic book and they would have made a really good movie that a lot of people would have liked, but they didn't.
Yeah, but the reason why we probably know the first Wonder Woman was more of a success because Zack Snyder was in the background, making sure it tied in more with what he was doing and direction.
He cares more about the whole source material. However you feel about the guy, he cares more about more source material. Definitely.
Well, I think though, Cash, your issue with 1984 is you just don't really understand the underlying message they were trying to sell.
I see. Okay,
yeah. Even you don't understand Captain Marvel either, Cash.
I don't understand Captain Marvel. I did see it. I don't get it.
Bratty women get superpowers like that, and deserve them.
Right. Yes. It's too funny.
Well, we all love Brie Larson, don't we?
So this it's interesting. This comment that Solonic just made. This is one of R&B's biggest talking points, also, right? Which is the minute you make a movie for $150 million, which number one, back in the day, whether you factoring in for inflation, etc., but making a movie for $150 million was never on anyone's radar, right? But that movie has to make 3 to 4 times, right? What they spend on it for it to make money. Right. So you're automatically saying almost every movie that you make for $150 million needs to make $1 billion.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Or you're approaching, you know what I mean? You're approaching $500,000. You know what I mean? And they've gotten into this mindset of, well, look at all these Marvel movies we're making billions. We need to make $1 billion. We need to make $1 billion, right? Or we need to make $500,000, right? Or any of that stuff, which is an awful lot of money, obviously, right? And so then on this point, you make a movie for $95 million or $100 million, right?
Yep.
And it doesn't do well.
Right.
You've now taken a risk, right, which hasn't paid off, which almost seems backwards in a way.
Yes.
Right. But that's it. They're very, very hesitant to take risks now that don't appear to be sure things.
Right.
Because then they won't get any more money.
Yeah. But also Joker showed, though, that you can make a movie with $50 million budget and still make $1 billion.
There you go.
Yeah.
Like you don't have to. Even like Dune is only $165 million to make that movie, where you think that movie cost them $250 million, where like Spider-Man cost them $250 million to make.
Mm-hmm.
I think the most expensive budget is either No Time to Die because the pushback with the marketing, or it's Solo because they had to completely remake
Redo
that
it.
movie. Yeah.
Yeah.
So they spent
They did
about
it twice, right?
Yeah, so it's about 400 million just on the filming budget, not
Mhm.
counting marketing on top of that. So yeah, I can understand now that you don't want to take those risks, but you don't have to. If you have a decent script and you have, I mean, Joker made money because Joker is a well-known pop culture character, and also the film didn't make him to be a good guy.
No, definitely not.
You still sympathize. You felt sorry for him, but you didn't feel sympathetic that you're like, oh, I can see where he's coming from.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I think they really missed the mark there. They should have had a Joker redemption arc, right, where he started volunteering at the local shelter, right, and where he was
and
trying
he
to
gets married
mend
to a desert
fences.
woman.
Yes,
well.
absolutely, absolutely. Should have done something there that was a little bit more uplifting, right, and culturally relevant.
Yeah,
I agree.
All right, cool. Well, we are at almost 150 now. You guys want to call it? You want to? Oh, hey, Felix is here. What's up, dude?
Hello.
Well, we covered exactly nothing of the agenda. We covered nothing of the agenda, and we covered everything we said we weren't going to cover.
Yes, we did. We covered some remake stuff, so that was good.
Yeah, we covered the Andrew a little bit, didn't we? So we have done a little bit of that. But is there anything you guys are excited for though for this year? What is your go-to?
Yeah.
You mean cinema-wise?
Yeah, cinema-wise. I know everyone's excited for Kenobi for TV-wise, but
dude,
cinema.
if Kenobi fails, I'm going to throw a chair through a fucking window. No, just kidding. But if
Kenobi fails,
fail.
Star Wars is like
Star Wars is in major trouble if Kenobi fails. Yes. Nothing's a sure thing anymore.
my issue. So I've been a very big proponent of Kenobi, right? Because I really feel Ewan's investment in that character, right, and the fact that he has a very vocal part in the production is going to mean that we have a leg up, if you will, on success, right? I have to admit, because I also believe that the Tuskens are going to have a role in Kenobi. Right, and whether they bring in Ashara Het, Darth Krayt, or what, but it's already been heavily, and we know from the Kenobi book that doesn't exist, right, and all this other stuff surrounding Kenobi's time on Tatooine, that the Tuskens are going to be involved, right, and because of what's going on in Book of Boba Fett, I've become a little concerned on how that Tusken part of the story is going to be portrayed, and how much prominence is that going to have in a show that's supposed to be about Obi-Wan Kenobi. I'm so excited for it, right? I think I have to say honestly, I think I'm still a little bit more excited for Andor from a Star Wars standpoint than any of the rest of them, because I think I have no expectations at all on what's going to happen in that series, how they're going to explore that character, what he's going to get into, and all of that. None whatsoever.
But it's also, they've got Tony Gilroy coming in to do, is the showrunner for that show, and he was the one who fixed Rogue One. A lot of people think it's Gareth, but Gareth really didn't have a hand in a lot of the action scenes and stuff. It was very much Tony Gilroy. And it's crazy to think that the only Disney character they've made a show of is from the only real success from a Star Wars movie that they've done. Out of the 5 movies they made, Rogue One was the big success, and they've looked back at that and went, okay, that's our biggest success. Let's take a character from that we can, because the issue with Rogue One is character development. That is the problem with Rogue One, and they've gone, right, let's make a show to create that character development, and that will enhance Rogue One to be the best Star Wars movie we've done, with pink hair.
But
so I have to say honestly, right, part of the reason why I'm very, 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 very convinced that Kira will make an appearance in Book of Boba Fett is because Disney is showing that their only ability to capitalize on these other properties or the other parts of the franchise that they've invested in cinematically, because of the sequels being untouchable, is they've got Rogue One, which we know we're getting Andor.
Yep.
And now we've got Book of Boba Fett, right? Where apparently we've got Pikes, right?
Yep.
Crime syndicates. It makes reasonable sense to believe we're going to see Kira. I don't have a Kira problem, by the way.
No.
I'm just saying this is Disney doubling down on trying to keep alive, and of course there's rumors out there now that Kira is having her own series as well, right? They're trying to keep something about their cinematic investment viable, even though most people don't like the Solo movie.
No, and also with Solo, I think they would have done a spin-off with Kira quicker, but because of the Ray Park situation that happened earlier last year, it got pushed back. And I mean, like, he's apologized for his comments and stuff, and he's like shown pictures of him in the makeup, and it looks like he's back with a good relationship with Disney.
Yeah.
So I think they will do a Maul/Kira show, but make Kira the main push, because you can't really have a show of Ray Park doing with Sam Witwer the voice, because a lot of people won't like that. They'll go, that doesn't match up too well. So they make it more Kira focused than Maul focused. But yeah, it's crazy to think that they've now, the only two successes that we technically have in the sense of people don't get angry about them too much is Solo and Rogue One compared to the sequels. So that's what they're trying to develop.
Oh, Nightbot.
What a Nightbot. What did he do?
Little bastard.
Because Green Lantern's repeating himself and putting a lot of symbols in. I don't know. But yeah, so I mean, I don't know that I answered your question necessarily from a film perspective, because to tell you the truth, when I look at what's coming in the future from a film perspective, it's very slim pickings.
Yeah.
Right? And this is another message that I've been carrying to some folks, which is what we're seeing released now are movies that have been on the shelf, that have been produced.
Well,
right, as far as movies what's that?
Jurassic World that's been finished for a year now, hasn't it? Yeah. And it's only like recently you've had the prologue come out, and that's been sitting there waiting.
So for movies that are in production now, right, that we feel like are coming soon, they're not coming this year. Right. So our slate of movies coming, this year it's very thin.
Yeah.
Right.
I agree.
So if I tell you I'm looking forward to Sonic the Hedgehog 2, how does that sound? Right. It's true. I am, because I really liked Jim Carrey in that role. Right. But is that a movie I should really be looking forward to? But again, when you scroll and see what's coming.
Yeah. I mean, for me, it's The Northman. I think The Northman I'm excited for, but again, that's more of an independent movie. I know it's being produced by Legendary, but it's still an independent. It's from Robert Eggers, who done Lighthouse and The Witch with 2 V's. He's a very independent director, and it's only recently been advertised, and it's 3 months from its release.
And if I say it's Doctor Strange, then I'm just falling right back into the trap, right? But I love the character of Doctor Strange.
Right. Yeah, Doctor Strange looks very good. They are adding some weird character for, I forgot who it is, America
Chavez
or something. Chavez, yeah. I'm just like, I'm like, what is this nonsense? But it just doesn't seem like an interesting character. Maybe they'll make us care about it. I don't know. But
isn't she like an LGBT portal puncher?
I don't know. Probably, dude.
She's comics appropriate, right? Again, I think they're going to tell us an interesting story there, right? But again, I think that's coming in May now. Batman is a good example of what the ones that are coming that I might be looking forward to are partially because there's an absence of competition, right? So I'm just striking for whatever is there, and because I know nothing else is going to be ready.
Yeah. And I agree with Felix. I mean, Rogue One is a great film. There's not many people, I don't think, that didn't enjoy Rogue One. I'm sure there's a few, but
a lot of people,
Uncle Kenobi.
Yeah, a lot of people don't like Rogue One because of the beginning. The first act is very slow for people, and it's a bit sloppy here and there.
Yes, I agree.
But in Book of Boba Fett, we call that world building, right? In Rogue One, they call it boring. I'm telling you honestly.
I know.
It's Jyn Erso. It's the Book of Jyn Erso. Oh, it's boring.
Yeah.
I mean, and in that beginnings, like the first hour of the movie, one of my favorite lines is like, you stand there and watch the Imperial flags rain across the galaxy. She went, well, if you don't look up, then like it doesn't matter.
Mm-hmm.
And that's one of the best lines in Star Wars, in my opinion, because it's very true. But again, people don't look at that and they're like, oh yeah, it's boring. I'm like, but you got a planet like Jeddah with fallen statues of Jedi. Does that not make you interested? Oh yeah, it's boring. But then it comes to Book of Boba, watching Boba get
world
his
building.
ass beaten
It's world building and necessary to the back. It's like, are you? I don't get it.
Yeah.
That's why I'm like, if Book of Boba was a movie, would people still feel the same way, or would the Tusken part of it be boring and unnecessary in the same way as Jyn Erso's backstory was in Rogue One?
Yeah.
Interesting.
People will say it would be boring though, Matt, because they'll be going, "Oh, look, that Black Chrysanthemum fight with Boba Fett was just like the best thing ever." The first half, you can just skip the first half, but you go to the end fight when there's bounty hunters shooting around and all that type of thing. That's what they'll talk about.
For all we know, they're going to team up and fight Kira, right? Or Kira and Cad Bane's going to show up, and everyone assumes there's going to be some sort of a triangular confrontation here, where I even think we're wrong about that.
Right.
And not wrong in a good way necessarily, right? But that's where I'm like there's a lot of stuff going on, right, that is unexpected to me, that people are attributing towards a good story that have parallels and other things that people have hated.
Well, I could
from
see
storytelling perspective.
I could see it from a scene with Kira, like Boba walks in, finds the twins dead, and Kira appears with a gun in her hand, and it's like, haha, I've killed the twins and I've taken over their empire, you know? That could happen.
So people are like, well, the Hutts sent the Nightwind Assassins. I don't think so.
No.
If the Hutts sent the Nightwind Assassins, why in heaven's name would they come parading out on a fucking litter with Black K there and all? No way.
When they send Black K, they would rather send Black K, because then Black K would get the job done.
So now we've got potentially neither the mayor nor the Hutts, right, who sent those people, right? So again, this is what Cash Money hopes having a Star Wars story.
I mean, we could see.
Oh man, that's
the
funny.
shaven head Jedi,
of course,
the High Republic, come out.
That's
right. You know, you never know. But that's the thing. Like, even with Solo, like, people now going, "Oh, well, you don't like Solo? That means you don't like Book of Boba Fett." And I'm like, no, Solo has problems. Like, you watch the beginning of Solo, it's like, oh, what's your name? Oh, I don't have a name. I'll call you Solo because you're on your own.
Okay. I have zero issue with that line. People bring that line up a lot as being a main reason why they took issue with that movie. And I'm like, the kid was an orphan. They set that up.
Yes.
He was mothered by a gang. Right. And he gets up there, he doesn't know his last name, and they make a joke about it. I'm like, I don't have a problem with that. The kid didn't know who he was.
Yep.
It's not like he told them and the guy was like, well, you're by yourself, fuck you, it's Solo now.
Yeah.
I don't know. It's just that movie, of course, had problems, and then I probably was in production hell, and then they did they of course changed the director, right? Is that what happened?
Yeah, it was Gordon Miller was supposed to be on it, and then Kathleen Kennedy, after 80% of the film was shot,
so ridiculous.
She went, "What, you made this? Oh no, can't have you that," and fired them.
That's just
ridiculous. I
didn't like Kira. You know, like, if Kira pops up, I'm just like, can someone just put a bullet in her head? I didn't like her character in Solo. I remember she was a bitch, and maybe that was the point, but I didn't like her. She was backstabbing Han, and I was like,
she just backstab Han for Maul.
You know,
basically.
when you
She's
look
more
at
Maul than anything.
When you look at
I think Cash,
what's
Cash, the reason why you didn't like Kira is because you're a misogynist.
Oh, okay, that must be it.
Yeah. I mean, she's the one who kills Dryden, which is like
that. I didn't like her because I just wanted her dead all the time. But young Lando in that was young Lando, and then the train sequence I remember was cool in that movie.
Yeah, but they kill off Tandy Newton and Rio.
Oh, I know, and
like that. And I'm like,
was
what?
mad.
You killed the gang off straight away? They
So, the good news is, if Kira does appear and there is a team up for some reason between she and Boba, at least then Kira could teach Boba some hand-to-hand combat, right? I mean, she clearly knew how to do that.
Yeah. I find it interesting that people were really upset about that. Like, oh, what's my name? I'll tell you it's Han or whatever.
Well, it's because Bob Iger,
Interesting.
5 months before, said you're going to find out how Solo got his name. So people were prepared, and then they found out that's how he got his name, and they were like, oh, really? So, yeah, I mean, I don't hate I don't despise Solo.
No, I think it's an overall pretty good movie.
There is things in that movie. I can't tell you all the names of the planets in that film. Like, I know Mimban, I know Kessel, and the first planet they're on is I can't even remember. Oh, Corellia. I just can't remember the snowy planet where the train is.
No. So ridiculous. That's too funny. But yeah, like Felix was saying, what do you guys think is going to happen basically at the end of Book of Boba? Well, I know what I would like to happen. I want Boba Fett to show his authority and say, surprise!
I think
Fennec's going to kill a bunch of people.
I think Fennec's going to kill Cad Bane in the end of the series.
That's a good one, Solonic.
But yeah, I just think that Cad Bane will show up in the series, and I think Fennec will kill Cad. I don't think Boba will get to kill Cad. Boba had his shot in the deleted scene of Clone Wars. They'll just say, "Oh, Fennec ran into him," and that's like the end of his life.
Yeah.
It's interesting to me. I think it kind of depends for me on whether or not we think there's going to be a second season. Because the easy thing for me to say in answer to this question would be somehow Mando is reinserted and asks for Boba's help, to come back and do something for Mandalore or whatever. And again, I personally think Din's reappearance is going to be much more likely with the reuniting of the Tusken tribes, because Din was friendly with these folks and Boba's friendly with these other ones, and they need to come together for some greater purpose, etc. So I really don't know at this point what to expect at the end of Book of Boba, because to me the writing has been so all over the place, with the exception of Boba continually trying to convince himself that he's a crime lord. I really don't know what his point is right now. Well, unless it's to be the most lackluster crime lord with the smallest following that Tatooine has ever seen.
Yeah.
But Matt, I don't want to see the end of this whole Filoni-verse ending up with like an army of Tuskens, an army of Mandalorians, army of all these different species going up against the Empire. I'm going to be like, no, that's not Star Wars. That's just like, oh, we're going to stick all these native all these species together, and they beat the white stormtroopers or the villain. It's just
so first of all, I don't think there are that many Tuskens left. Yeah. Right, unless that gets retconned and all of a sudden Tuskens, just like I don't think there are that many Mandalorians left, by the way. I don't think there are that many Tuskens left, number one. I think Boba's point after living with the village for however long he ends up living with them is just for them to get left alone and for them to get reparations for what has happened to them this whole time. And as much as I'd like to believe what Solonic is speculating in regards to, not that I want the Tusken village to get destroyed, but that there's going to be some catalyst event that causes Boba to go berserko mode, I don't buy it. I do not buy that this Boba Fett has a berserko mode.
Yeah, anymore. I'm not sure either.
Do you think, because if we look at the timeline of when Book of Boba was made and stuff, it was written around a time of a certain thing that was happening in our world politics? Are they writing that now to put that in as today's, but using the Tuskens as a catalyst for that? Because that's what I could see they've done.
Well, I mean, and I've made the off-color joke, Tuscan Lives Matter, right? And some other things, right? Or Tuscans are human too, if you don't want to be so overt about it, right? And I personally, if I'm going to subscribe to any of the conspiracy type theories that are afoot about this show, I really think that the reason why it was so hush-hush, unannounced, and all that jazz is this show became a necessity because of the Pedro Pascal nonsense with the helmet on, helmet off, and I'm walking off of this thing, and then the Gina thing happened and all that. And I think they were so topsy-turvy about Mandalorian's future that they weren't ready to commit or to try and commit to bringing another season of that. They saw Boba Fett had some appeal when they brought him back.
Well, they knew Boba Fett had appeal when they done the Mandalorian in the first season, because people were like, "Oh, this is just a ripoff of Boba Fett."
Well, and then when they actually brought Boba Fett back and he did what he did in Mando 2, they said, "You know what? We're going to try and do something." And then I think they threw this together, right? And whether they took the tropes of the other stuff or not, right? They threw this together and called it limited run, and let's put it out there. Robert Rodriguez, you do your thing or whatever, and we'll make this work. And that's why we're getting what we're getting. So for that makes it very difficult for me to predict where I think it's going, because I don't understand where it's been up to this point.
I mean, like, I understand the Ahsoka show. Like, I think that's been I think that was an animated show originally, and then they've, like, because of Rosario Dawson coming in with the Mandalorian, they're like, yeah, we can make that into a live action show. Because they have,
pretty cool.
Because of Dave's now had an experience with the live action world. That's why I think the Ahsoka show was technically originally planned. Where I think with Book of Boba it was, as you said, Matt, we have to fill this gap because of certain things that happen behind the scenes.
Well, and remember, we have the trailer of I call it The Last Supper, right? Where they're all around the table and he's still trying to do something, right? And this, that, and the other, right? So I don't think that we're done with the crime lord thing yet. But at this point, it's not clear to me what he's trying to do as far as building that base up. And now are they against the Hutts? You know, let's rise up and make sure the Hutts don't come back or what? I mean, and again, I know, like everyone's telling me, we'll just wait, let the story mature, and wait for the next episode. But we got some other son of a bitch on staff saying you got to wait till the 5th episode, right? And I'm like, okay, so I gotta suffer through 3 and 4, right, just to hope that I make it through to 5.
Yep. Do we know which one 5 is though? Is that the Dave Filoni written episode?
6. Filoni is 6.
Okay.
He's co-written and he's co-written 6 and he's directing it.
Okay. Well,
I've got a feeling that will be probably the best episode, because to me, I think Filoni has done the better episodes in the series than John has. John's been taken so much like from the Westerns. That's his inspiration in his writing style, where Dave is very much focused in more of the Star Wars and connecting it to Clone Wars and Rebels and making it feel more Star Wars. In my opinion, that's my opinion with Dave's work.
In
comparison.
So I don't know. So somehow you asked us what we were looking forward to. We ranted again about Book of Boba Fett, right? So again, Cash, as much as we tried to avoid it,
I know you can't avoid it. It's okay.
It just keeps coming back, right?
It
like
does.
That bad penny that you just can't get rid of.
It just does. I'm just not
because
loving
we are
that
Star Wars
show
fans,
yet.
we love
maybe
pop
it'll
culture,
change.
and it's a big thing at the moment where it's the only thing that's really out. Like we've kicked No Way Home to death, because all you can really talk about is Andrew and Toby returning. Where with Book of Boba, because it's a developing thing that's happening each week, it's still relevant in our minds.
Well, and we didn't have to touch on Cobra Kai, right? And the fact that they did another great job with the season and all that, which I know there's some people who haven't watched it, right? That's why I don't want to bring it up.
Yeah.
But I mean, just juxtaposing some of the other stuff that's out there that has been better. I've been enjoying The Expanse. Right, The Expanse has the last 6 episodes. They've dropped 5 out of 6 so far. It's on a weekly release. That hasn't offended me. Right. I mean, I've been perfectly happy to wait for the next week and to see what's going on. Right. So it's not that It's not that they can't be, that folks can't either be successful with weekly releases or dropping it all at once and still keeping the interest, right?
Yep.
I just keep going back to, for me, the Book of Boba Fett isn't doing as good a job as The Mandalorian did in sustaining my interest on a weekly release.
That's how I feel so far too. Yep.
And hopefully Kenobi will change that, but I don't know.
Yeah.
If Kenobi's got hit the ball out with the first episode, if it doesn't, then
well, don't expect Kenobi to come out, action-packed in the first episode, Nick. No, we can't do that. It can't be the first episode. If you got to give it at least until the third episode. You got to stick with it. Give the writers a chance.
You know what? The first episode is going to be him crying. It's just going to be him in balls of tears. He doesn't take his lightsaber out. He's going to be an old grumpy man. I've got to look after his kid.
Man. Don't do this
He's gonna be, see him coming out of his hut, and he's gonna be like, "Get off my sand dune! Move along! Get off! You want this ball back? It's mine now! Get out of here!"
Then we're gonna have certain people in the community going like, "It's Obi-Wan. You're supposed to enjoy it. You've got your Obi-Wan series. Be happy."
No, Solonic. It's not going to be a Tusken episode.
Oh man,
every episode of Kenobi. Solonic, I bet you $1 Canadian that every episode of Kenobi will have Tuskens in it.
Could you imagine if we only get one episode with Vader in it? In Kenobi, with Hayden turning up in just one scene. My God, that would wind.
Now I hope the reason why they're fighting is because Kenobi is trying to save a Tusken from Vader somehow. That's the best way to merge it all together, right?
Yeah, save a Tusken.
And I'm hoping also in the Kenobi series explain how a plane stormtrooper fell in the Sarlacc pit.
Well, you know the story about the stormtrooper now, right? Apparently one of the actors this is a true story. One of the actors who's playing a Tusken from the tribe was interviewed and said, he said, I also played a stormtrooper in Kenobi, and I have to tell you, my how did he put it? My performance as the stormtrooper in Kenobi was far more impactful to that story than my performance as the Tusken in Book of Boba.
Yeah. So
of course, everyone's inferring that he played the stormtrooper in Kenobi that somehow ended up falling into the Sarlacc, that'll ultimately be the one that Boba uses to escape.
Oh no! I can see it now, where it's just going to be like, oh my God, guys, I'm going to make a video that's like explaining how this stormtrooper ended up in the Kenobi's. Oh no!
Yeah.
Oh man!
We'll just see what happens. I'm not gonna, as I've said at least a few times, I'm not gonna just jump ship. I just want this show to get better for me personally, and oh my God. I swear, dude. I swear. Yes, it's the greatest ever.
I mean, we're going to probably get a young female Jedi leading Obi-Wan around the desert and teaching him how the Tusken way is it the acceptable way, and this is how you're supposed to do it. I mean, what's
going to happen is Kenobi's going to live in the Matrix, and then
Okay, I got to say quickly. When I was watching EFAB, they point out that Obi-Wan says that Tusken Raiders haven't got a good shot, that they don't fire very well. But in Boba Fett, they're able to aim and hit all.
That's a good point. That's funny, dude.
Well, here's what I think will probably happen. Right, the Inquisitors are going to show up on Tatooine because they sense Darth Krayt. Right, they sense the Force-sensitive Tusken.
Yep.
And Kenobi is going to have to defend.
Yes.
He's going to have to defend Ashara Het against the Inquisitors. That's what I think is going to happen.
Darth Krayt is considered a Tusken, huh? Because I know he's in the Legacy.
His father, he was raised as a Tusken.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
I'll have to read more into that. That's cool.
You need to read your lore. You need to do your homework.
I need to do my homework. I didn't do enough. I didn't do it
before Kenobi. Because otherwise, I can't have this conversation with you.
I know. I got to do all my homework.
You don't understand the material.
But it's even like
do your homework.
Isn't there like you got? I can't remember her name. It's Ingram, the female. That's she's talked about doing lightsaber training. And I've got a feeling she's going to be a young Jedi that's going to.
We're all hoping that she's the female Inquisitor that was in the concept art, right?
Mhm.
But
well, hopefully, if she's a female Jedi that tells Obi-Wan, like, no, I'm the one you have to follow. Follow me, and we get another Hawkeye and Loki situation.
Read the books.
Read the books. The books. Read the books.
Well, we could go on for another 10 billion hours talking about Book of Boba.
When are we gonna actually talk about?
Stuff.
When are we gonna talk about the agenda? The things that we had on the agenda? Or
well, we talked about one of them, which was the remakes. But other than that, things went kind of off the rails.
Just like the train that was going through the sands of Tatooine.
That's right.
It's off the
Where
rails.
does it go? I don't know. Why is it there? Oh, you have to. What do I need to understand? It's just a fucking whatever. The train, dude. I was like, do they really need those supplies on there? And why does this keep going?
The whole reason why the train was there was because it was a repurposed pod racer engine power.
Oh, I see.
That is the whole reason why the train was there. You can see it from the controls. You saw this. It was a pod racer engine. It needed to be there because
we got to please the prequel fans. And I'm a prequel fan. And I'm like, oh, cool.
Yeah. Do you guys feel like before? I know we're getting close to finally the end of this stream, but because as I said, if we don't, we'll be talking about Book of Boba. We're like, we don't want to talk about it, then we get talking about it.
We'll be like an 8-hour stream, like EBN.
Yeah. But do we need? The thing is, people are saying this show feels more like a prequel type movie. Do you guys feel that way? Like a prequel type show? Okay. No. Some people are saying that. So.
Well, because it's got Mos Espa and Camino. Does that mean it's prequel? No.
Yeah.
The prequels had a very soap opera feel to them, but this doesn't got a soap opera film. This film's like this feels more like a lecture, and it does feel like a soap opera.
It certainly doesn't feel like The Godfather, right? It's not a crime thriller mystery.
Did you want to kill that guy? He's in your way and he's like kind of threatening you. It's fine. It's fine. Let's go on the speeder bike and talk.
There's no way he's putting a bantha head in the mayor's bed, right?
I know.
None of that's happening.
Man, that's not happening.
No, and even like you haven't.
That would be cool, though, Matt. I want to see that now.
But that's what we thought the Book of Boba was going to be. Boba was Don Corleone.
Oh yeah.
And then you have Fennec.
He can't even afford a car. He's walking everywhere.
He is.
Can't even hitch a ride with the droid.
He walks. Fennec walks the Nightwing assassin all the way up.
That's right, Green Lantern.
On a rope.
Doing a Tuscan story.
Not only does the Gamorrean carry the son of a bitch back, she walks all the way back to the palace with the guy on a rope.
Yep.
Oh man.
Yeah, but how does Boba get there that quick? Back to tank.
Yeah, I don't know.
How far is
those Gamorreans can move?
Don't ask those questions, Nick. Just to consume and be happy that you got a Boba Fett show.
I mean, okay? I ever since Matt said about like the whole back to tank with he's only got like a thing for his mouth and not for his nose, that's really put me.
Oh, man, I know, and so
because he's just in that he's just pushing it out. He's pushing it out. They're pushing it out.
We have people in the community who are like, "Oh, the lizard thing is fine." Is it though?
No.
Is it fine? No, it's weird.
He tasks me. He tasks me, and I shall have him.
And also, like, why does every Tusken have a dream where when they go up to the tree, it gets surrounded and they feel like they're in a Sarlacc pit? Like,
no, everyone's dream is different.
Yeah, but
everyone's dream is
to get
different.
The stick. But the whole point is him breaking the Sarlacc arm to get the stick.
Right. I want to know: do they have just one lizard, or do they use the same lizard every time? And is that sanitary to share lizards?
Not sanitize the lizard.
You gotta make sure the lizard is sanitized.
But also, Matt, where does that lizard go?
Like, no, it lives in the little thing. No, it lives in the little thing.
I know it lives in the thing, but what does it do in your head? Like, where does it?
I don't know.
Release a pheromone that's in your brain. It's like.
And how does it know when to come back out?
I can't. This is exactly what I'm talking about. I didn't want the show to be goofy, and now we're making fun of it again. It's just that's how I feel about Book of Boba, or Book of Tusken, whatever you want to call it. Dances with Tuskens right now. It's just something to make fun.
I mean, it's like,
Oh,
I used to say that I like the first, I like the first 14 minutes of the second episode, right? But I mean, when you even think about the
That's a good
Hutts
one.
coming out, right?
That's a good
They're
one.
on this huge litter.
Yep.
There's no roof on it.
Right.
Why is there no covering of any sort?
I don't know.
It's hot. The sun
It's
is
hot
out.
yeah.
They're
Aren't they
being
going to get
carried
burned?
around.
No sunburn?
There's
No
nothing up here.
No?
He's
All right.
mopping his face with the rat, right? Yep. She has a fan that's this big, and there's no cover on the thing.
I know, it's ridiculous.
But also, Matt, like, why does Boba take off his helmet every time he goes into the Polynesian spa? And why is Max Rebo always there? Like Max Rebo, does he just perform gigs there the whole time now? Has he got a permanent thing? Because everyone in that spa was from the same as like last time he was in the spa.
You just and where did the Hutts come from, and where do they go when they took them away? Where do they go to?
Right.
Where do they go?
Are they in a Hutt hotel down the road?
Oh man.
Yeah. I mean, also we've forgotten about the receptionist at the mayor's room. Like, is he someone like he's?
Would you like fries with that? You mean that guy?
Yes.
Yeah.
He doesn't like. I'm like, am I watching Star Wars or am I just watching a fan film?
Hey, what's up?
Hey.
How's it going? Nice to see you.
But I just don't like people go, oh my god, like the whole vision scene is amazing. Like to me. Yes. That's not like wearing the camera around, making it all fuzzy, and it's like, oh, he's in the original costume, and he's not in the original costume, and then he's in the costume, and then he's wrapping himself around a tree and hugging a tree. Like,
but it's just
that's not cool.
Like, will people see the same thing we see? Or are they going to?
They don't.
It's a Book of Boba. Don't. That's it. That's it. Don't question it. Don't look at it that way. It's Book of Boba. Be happy what you got.
This is the response. This is the response, right? Either I'm putting too much into it,
right,
or I'm not putting enough into it.
Agreed.
I feel like the Three Bears, right? Where is the just right bit?
Yeah.
Right? Because one's too big and one's too small so far, right? It's either you just can't win.
I mean, like.
And like Leo said, the Book of Boba Fett. I mean, yeah, in a way, it's like, dude, get back in that tank. Start doing some more exercising and walking everywhere. Maybe you gotta get on the speeder bike more. He needs more exercise. He doesn't.
He's walking everywhere.
He doesn't walk enough.
Sweat it out. In the armor, come on.
It's like it was when I was watching EFAB. They when it goes to the shot back to the bank, back to tank. They're like, no, not the back to tank, not the back to tank.
Oh my gosh! It's just like I know, and every time you feel that way, not the tank again. No, stop it.
And the other thing about Bacta, right?
Oh man!
If you're getting into the Bacta tank with your dirty boots on.
Yeah.
Right. So they throw him. He couldn't even take his boots off. Right. They drag him in. They drag him back. They drag him into the Bacta tank. They barely put the thing in his mouth. Still not in the nose, and he's filthy.
And also, when you want to, like a lot of people are going, oh, he needs to in the back tank to heal. It's like you're taking away all his scars that make him. Like the reason why people didn't mind Tamira Morrison looking the way he did, or looking as old as he did in The Mandalorian, is because he's scarred up, and they said, "Oh, that's what the Sarlacc did to it. It messed his body up. We can accept he looks older." But now because it's repaired him, people are going, "Oh, he looks too old now." Oh, he's definitely a 61-year-old man. I'm like, well, you lot have just taken his scars off him that you lot accepted to say he looks like that.
Yep.
And in all seriousness, right, on Average's comment, right, about body shaming and the Book of Boba Fett and all that, I have no problem with anyone's shape, right, or anyone's weight or anything like that, right. The problem that I have, right, is the inconsistency with the way this character has been portrayed since the beginning of time, whether you factor in the EU or not, right, and again, I don't. Again, maybe again, keep watching. They're going to explain some things or whatever, and that's fine, right? But for me, it's such a dramatic departure from how I've traditionally seen the character.
Me too.
That I've been having my problem.
Yep, that's my issues as well.
I mean, it'd be interesting to see if we do see Tamira Morrison play other clone characters, if people do accept it or not.
Mm-hmm.
See, Leia Rose, I'm telling you, they're going to get married before it's over.
Ugh, good. And some people are like, "That's fine. That's great." Not to me. That's
She
not
saves
fine.
Boba.
That's
She saves
silly.
Boba. Like Boba's
Yes.
like on the training, like trying to fight off the pike. He's struggling to fight the pike off, and then she comes in with a tusk and whacks.
Yeah, it's crazy, man. Sometimes the supporting characters have more screen time than Boba, or more action than Boba. You know.
I mean, Fennec hasn't had that much screen time.
No, she has not. That's true.
Which is surprising. I'm surprised.
Yeah, it is. It is surprising. And Fennec's a badass. I mean, you know. Yep.
I do kind of hope we get at least one unmasked. This is serious, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
I do hope we get at least one unmasked Tusken through this series, right? Not because of this foolishness with the actor or actress portraying that Tusken wanting to take the mask off. Right. I'm just very curious as to what is under the mask.
But didn't George say he never George had such a problem with Kenneth C. Flint wanted to unmask the Tusken, didn't he? In his book that was unreleased, and George said no.
So what's your point?
Well, I'm saying, like, George never wants Tusken. It's the same thing.
George sold George is a sellout. He sold the franchise.
I know.
And unless Filoni takes that to heart, Tusken mask coming off.
But it's even like Yoda's species. Do we want to know who Yoda's species is?
Yeah.
I don't know. I just want to know if Grogu is Yoda and Yaddle's offspring.
It's probably going to happen, you know. Or they're probably Ray and Kylo.
We need to see that flashback, huh?
Yeah.
No, dude. So when are we seeing Cobb Vanth in this series?
Well, I think he's going to bring the townspeople to help.
Or Boba's going to go visit the town. At some point, I
like Timothy Oliphant, right? I hope we do. Yeah. I hope we do see something. Again, I don't think we're going to be, in some sort of an Endgame-esque moment here.
No.
But I do think there's some unification of Tatooine that is a part of Boba's plan.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I don't want to see at the end of this that we see Han, Luke, and Leia. Like a lot of people said, rumored that they're in it. I'm like, no. Why do we have to keep relying on those three legacy characters to make it a special episode and like a memorable episode? Like the series should be able to function without having a Luke Skywalker moment in the series.
Yeah.
He's going to be also average 2 here in a second. So, are we ending this, or are we going to keep
We're
going?
going to see. This is the thing. We just keep talking about Boba Fett. We're like, we didn't want to talk about it, and we ended up talking about it.
Well, let's talk about the High Republic and like the amazing thing.
Oh God,
we can't. Let's not talk about Geode and friends. No.
The only way we can do that is if Nick, if you shave off half your hair. Then we can have a conversation about
That's right. Yeah.
Also, I've got to tell you not to fuck off and hate my elders, and that's like a great hero type because that's what the kids relate to nowadays. Is just hating
very
people.
Disrespectful. Very disrespectful.
But we will call it now. Yeah, we'll call it now. By the way, guys, if you want, and it's not in the description right now. Or the comments, but I'll send some of you people. We do have a Discord, and we are going to do watch parties in there in the future. Other stuff in there. So yes, I've decided.
And I can probably put the. Give me 1 second. I can probably put the.
So if Felix isn't in there, I know some of you people are. So if you would like to join it, you can.
Hold a minute. Do this, and then let me do this, and then this.
I also will be advertising these videos on Twitter and some other social media platforms. Add the link. That's what Felix just said.
There's the Discord.
There we go.
Lovely.
All right. But, I'm not highlighting that.
I had a lot of fun. I had some good laughs, and I think we got a lot covered. Next time we'll try to stay. We'll get some more topics covered. So we'll go from there. But it's just the problem is when you look at something like Book of Boba, it's just easy to talk to. But I'm sorry, whatever people think about it, it's easy to make fun of. It just is. I can't stop making fun of it. It's only 2 episodes in, but it's just I enjoy making fun of this show. I want it to be more serious. I look at Boba Fett. Besides, what happened to him in Return of the Jedi, as Matt said, he went out like a bitch. But he's back now, so let's kick some ass.
And actually, what's very interesting to me is behind the scenes, Cash Money is a huge Book of Boba simp. He's always telling me how much he loves it, and how great it's written,
sure,
and how relatable it is.
Sure,
he's also a sequel trilogy fan. If you didn't know, Matt, he loves Rise of Skywalker. Rise of Skywalker
I know. He loves that yellow lightsaber. That's for sure.
No problem.
He loved Dio rolling around. Dio's like his favorite character throughout the whole.
And also, before we go, before Matt starts in with more of his nonsense, Felix, nice job yesterday, man, on EBN, dude. That was a good structured stream. So you, Matt Cave, and Valiant did a nice job, and I'm glad you guys got to talk to Jeremy. That was really cool, and then it was a quality stream, man. So good job. So I hope to see you guys on guests again on there. You guys deserve to be guests again on there for sure.
I'm just going to leave that one.
I know, Average. It'll happen. I promise. Just not yet. I know.
All right, guys. Thanks, everyone. This is the most people we've had here watching, by the way. So thanks for the folks who tuned in for whatever this was.
Yeah, we had a topic, and we had some other topics, and we went off of Book of Boba. But before you all go, just remember one thing. Never let anybody change your vision, because your vision is your vision, and that's all that should matter.
Well said. See everyone next time.
See you next time, guys.
Bye.
Bye-bye.